All right. All right, you guys. So we'll let a couple of people come in. We got a couple of our guests in here waiting in the back. I'm gathering all my images still. And I hope everybody's doing well, doing okay up in this bad boy. All right, so we're gonna set the mood, set the tone for those people that are coming in. Hopefully this is not Apollo night on Sunday like it is on Tuesdays and Fridays. But for sake keeping, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button right there. Tell the sisters arrive, because we got the arm and the leg here, need the head and the heart, or the we got the body parts here. But shout out to everybody coming through. Oh, we're gonna get started. Oh, we should be getting started now, huh? Okay. Anyhow, let's see. Where is she at? All right. I think does this come through? Jeez, they're blocking every image, you guys. Anyhow, so let me let the ladies up here. We got 5 still in the building. Shout out to Chris G. Shout out to Sir Obadiah. That's some old faithful up in here. This is No One. Shout out to that brother. We got Aquateki. And we got Miss Mel up in here. I didn't know you. Man, you come and go. So we're going to bring a couple of the sisters up for right now. We got the Lioness right here. And we got Fitness Mom in the building. We're going to be doing that Sunday Chalk Talk. How's everybody doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing just trying to be 5 people in one day.
Tell me about it.
But I am managing, and every time we go on, we're gonna try to make history. So that's been my goal for the longest. Let's see what we got here. Who is this? All right. All right, so we got Fred Holiday in the building. We got G Rock in the building. Right? Oh, it's his C day. I was 47 once.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. So we're in what, Aries? Yeah, we're in Aries right now.
Yes.
A lot of fighting going on.
Well, Aries is about that action.
Yeah, about that life, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Of the fire signs, they are the most volatile.
Yeah. So shout out to the Aries. We got until what? The 22nd of this month, right?
Yeah, I think it's actually the 20th, but yeah,
20th?
around then, yes.
Okay, and then we get to rest a little bit.
Yeah.
You know. And then, oh my, wait a minute. Taurus is money time, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh. Money, and was it money and food and all that? Okay.
Yeah.
Shoot. All right. Remind us. Sometimes I forget. People need to read their little houses or whatever. The houses, Green says he's the best Zodiac. I mean, Aries is the best, really? Okay. I mean, I admit they're the head, but that's
I'm
all.
I'm over here cooking dinner while we do this. I just tried a new sauce.
Okay.
I made a mixture between curry paste and peanut sauce.
But what kind of curry though? Is it Indian or Jamaican?
Indian.
Is it yellow curry or is it red curry?
Um, well, the powder I have is closer to yellow, but it's kind of to me in the middle between red and yellow.
Okay. I only deal with Chinese and well, Japanese, Chinese, and Jamaican curry. Kind of hard to deal with the other stuff, you know. But maybe that's the finicky side of me,
We do tend to be finicky, don't we?
man. And fitness mom, our faithful Capricorn in the building there. That's the other side of the father energy.
That grounding earth energy that we need.
Our shadow side. Speak, child, speak.
Well, my grandmother was an Aries and my mother was a Taurus, so that was interesting.
Ooh, that's 2 horns. All right. Okay, that's interesting. We got Jerome in the building. Mr. Blue Collar in the building. We're gonna get started in a few seconds. You know, we just wait for people to come up. You know, quite sure Sada's gonna pop. You know, jump down the ceiling. You know, and I think we're gonna get started here. But yeah, this. I hope you guys understood the questions, looked at them, looked over them, inspected them a little bit.
Shonda says she'll be up in a second.
Okay, so she's jumping down the building, the ceiling as well, right? In the cat suit. Okay. And shout out to Kareem for giving us the Cash App. Appreciate you, fam. Should I do my sound effects here? Well, I'm gonna do a different sound effect next time I had a ladies on the panel. Just had to find some kind of sound in there, like ooh or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe pianos or something.
Harps.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
Okay. All right. So, you know, I guess while we're waiting, why don't you ladies introduce yourselves and let us know who you are and what you do?
Okay, I'm Toya. I'm a Leo, rawr, and I tutor in my spare time. I'm a mess right now. I have a lot on my plate that I'm doing, so I can't really narrow it down to one. But I always have something to say, and I guess that's why I'm here. So thanks for having me, Art.
Okay, well, thank you for coming up. Then we have Fitness Mom. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I guess I'm Ari in the chat. I'm a Capricorn. Bad, I guess. So, I don't know. I guess that's what the cows make.
Yeah,
But
That's funny.
I spend most of my days just enjoying myself, doing things around the house, watching TV, maybe go outside a little bit. Keep to myself mostly. And I apparently live down the street from Toya.
Oh, okay. There you go. So now you can taste her curry.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
How am I just finding this out? She's in Dallas?
Yeah.
Dallas.
Oh wow. Okay.
There you go. We make connections here in these spaces, huh?
I love that because I don't know anything about Dallas. I'm about to be annoying. Sorry.
Nameless is there too.
Yeah, I knew that. We actually were at the airport at the same time, but we did not see each other.
We joke about it because he doesn't. He sounds very depressed when we mentioned Dallas. I said, "You in Dallas?" He said, "Yeah, fam. Yeah, man." He said,
I know why he says that. I'm learning why he says that.
Is that bad?
It's something. It's something. I'm having a tough time getting used to it. I'll say that.
So maybe y'all should have been in Houston.
Yeah, maybe.
Shonda.
Shonda, introduce yourself to us. Let us know who you are and what you do.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, Brother Art, Toya, Fitness Mom, and everybody in the chat. My name is Shonda H. As previously stated, I'm originally from Louisiana, been in the Gulf Coast region for a little over 15 years, and I'm a nurse practitioner. In my free time, I love to eat. Seafood is my favorite food. I also like to cook every now and then, but don't cook as much as the time allows. I'll just put it that way. I don't cook every day, so I'm not gonna put that out there that I do. Love spending time with family. Love reading when I get the opportunity to really read a good book. Trying to get back into exercising. Just my work schedule as of late hasn't allowed me to be as physically active as I would like to be. But that pretty much sums me up. And I love also a good stimulating conversation. So I also consider myself a sapiosexual. Since we're putting out zodiac signs, I'm a Virgo.
Oh, the lifelong learner. Uh-oh. I know your favorite word is oops. We'll explore, we'll go into detail with that later. Oh man. I have like a lot of Virgos in my classes. And they're all up in the mirror and everything else. I'm like, God, you're such a Virgo. What do you mean? I'm like, never mind.
We're often misunderstood, but we're good people.
And she's an eight. Oh my God, never mind. All right. Yeah, you're the perfect Virgo for sure. Gotcha.
That's the thing. Virgos, they're real perfectionists to a T. Like they are not going to half-ass anything.
Yeah, very meticulous.
Very. We need that energy though. If we didn't have Virgos, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah, food got to be done, arranged a certain way, seats, everything, furniture, all that. So it's unless you can correct us if we're wrong, we're waiting to be corrected, Shonda.
I see no lies detected.
The best time to see these little signs that we're talking about is in the teenagers because they can't hide it. It's like, like what? Like, never mind, just keep doing what you're doing, right? So we got some of that out of the way. We got 16 in the building. Please hit the like button, because this is not Apollo night, huh? Sundays is pretty chill for the most part, right? And shout out to I'm listening in here. Shout out to Alonzo Hall in the building. We got Aqua Tugger in the building.
It's funny, right? Because my son is a Virgo. And so I was at his school, and the teacher was like, he's my little helper. He makes sure to tell me which kids are not cleaning up, and he reminds all the kids to clean up after themselves and stuff like that. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. He attracts the pure energy because he's the male, right? So he's a magnet. So that's gonna be interesting. Ooh, you the mom too? Oh man, have fun. Have fun with that one. Leave him alone. No. All right. So we got some of that out of the way. You said yes, no nails on the chalkboard tonight, please. Okay. So we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty with the questions because that's key. Or do you ladies want me to start off with the video? You want me to come out with a video? Just to break
Sure.
the ice a little bit while people are coming in.
Yeah.
Which one you want? Which one want to show? The Elaine Brown, the Charizard, the Foxhole, or Julia Harris later. So which one of the three y'all want me to show?
I think we should start off with something a little more, mellow. So how about something like the Lane Brown one?
Okay, so we'll do the Elaine Brown. Okay. I think she started cooking like in the very beginning. I mean in the middle, I think. But wait a minute, somebody
It's
popped
like a
up.
way to warm up, Ah, there we are. We're full. So
Okay,
hi,
so
sister.
Voltron is assembled. Sister Asada, let us know. I know you're just coming in, but let us know who you are and what you do. She's still walking down the hallway. And we got Nicer. I give Nicer an acknowledgement. Nicer, thank you for coming through. Asada Muhammad. Going once, going twice. All that pressure, huh? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I guess she'll pretty much figure out, oh, wait a minute. Let me share the screen, huh? Where's my manners? Duh.
Recall.
Let me move it further. I think the part where
No, why would you say that? Why would
here
you
it
say
is.
that? You know, one thing about me, I cannot cook at all.
Okay. This is gonna be fun. She tore that chick's head off. I'm like, ooh. Okay. She said, give me a sec. All right, so let me go ahead and share this real quick. Those people that are here, please hit the like button, share, sub, whatever you need to do. And for those chat people in the chat out there, could you please share these sisters' channels as well? They got channels. Here we go. Let me play this real quick.
You know, people, that must not have been anybody in the Black Panther Party because, first of all, anybody that knows me knows one thing about me, I cannot cook at all. And I mean, I'm talking about serious flaws in cooking. Like I'm going to cut my thumb if I cut an onion or something, you know, seriously.
But would it have been women mostly?
No. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? That's what women say. They always think the Black Panther Party was some kind of chauvinist entity. They fail to remember that NAACP, SNCC, and there was no progressive organization. There was no Black organization that had any women in leadership except the Black Panther Party. Now, why is it that people would think women would cook? As a matter of fact, the chief cook was a guy named Russell, whatever his last name was, I can't think of. And the chief cook at our lamppost was a guy named Mojo. I mean, so why would we think that? It's insulting to me because people think the Black people, we had some kind of animalistic thug boys and that all the women were bitches in the kitchen. No, it was not like that. And but it calls that stereotype. So I'm checking it now so that you have a consciousness that I hear that. I hear people criticize the Black Panther Party all the time. Oh, it wasn't a part. It was, it was chauvinist. Oh, excuse me. Is the world not, a country that's not a patriarchy? Tell me which one it is. Do you know one?
Yeah, I just wanted you to clarify that for us.
I know, but that question wouldn't have come up if you hadn't thought that only women would be cooking.
I didn't think that, but other people said that. So I just you're the only source of.
Who has said what?
Well, it's just like the general conversations sometimes that you.
Who are these people that say these things?
Just in my research and talking to people, it's not that anybody thinks that necessarily, but those are the questions I've been asked.
But this is a question of women. This is a question that women ask, and mostly so-called feminists of the Gloria Steinem ilk, or whatever they now want to call themselves, the third wave, second wave, whatever wave they are. And this is a very bourgeois feminist notion because they always think that we have to get out of the kitchen. And you know what Black women said? You know what my mother said when they had get out of the kitchen and into the street? Yeah, I'd like to get out of the kitchen in your kitchen. And it didn't even occur to these Betty Friedens and whatever her name is, former CIA agent Bunny, Gloria Steinem. I mean, she admits that she worked for the CIA, so it's not something Elaine is making up. Okay, she talks about it, and she was also a Playboy bunny. And Gloria Steinem and the Betty Friedan, that group, those are the kinds of people that constantly said, "Oh, the Black Panthers were chauvinists, so I didn't want to be in it." So I go, "Okay, fine. Well, what group are you in?" Because you denounced the woman that became Roe, and she said she didn't accept third trimester abortion. So I'm finished proselytizing on this. I just want to make clear that who cooked the food, like what difference does it make? We've thought of ourselves as an organization. If you had a job to do, you had an assignment. We were a paramilitary organization in the sense that people did not vote on what you did or what you didn't do. If you could cook, you would be cooking. If you could handle a gun, you would be handling a gun. Most women could not handle guns like men could, although all of us were trained on weapons, okay? So if you want to ask me about the internal workings of the Black Panther Party, then we can ask that. But when you start then that's a separate conversation. Yeah. But we're talking about the position that we were the only Black organization that took that? Where were the Weather Underground when you went into when we occupied the building? Do you know? SDS, the little People's Park people. Where were they? Where was the SCLC, NAACP, Africa, the Freedom, whatever it is, Africa, New Republic of Africa? Where were all those groups? So here you have an organization that had such an understanding of revolution in America that it actually participated and understood the connection and didn't care about the majority of people there were white. So where was the Native American? Where was AIM? Where was the Puerto Ricans? I don't know. We were there. Now you're gonna question me about who cooked the food. What difference does it make to you who cooked the food? That's my point.
Right. Yeah. No, that's great. You've really clarified.
I'm sorry to me, but I have to tell you, because we have to know this stuff. What difference does it really make who cooked the food? The Black Panther Party delivered it every day. And if I remember, it was like 2 runs. I didn't do that. I was the chairman of the Black Panther Party. I was running everything. I was running in 77. I was running Lionel Wilson's campaign. We had a big garbage problem that we had. We were trying to develop garbage. We had all kinds of other issues that we were working on. This was one of the issues that we were involved in. One of them. And we put our people where they were assigned to be, and they knew to do it. Nobody said, oh, let's see, I shouldn't cook because I'm a woman. What do you think? No, it didn't go down like that. If I said, and if the people under me said, and everybody that was under me, and the only one wasn't under me was Huey P. Newton. He was in Cuba. So what went on the day-to-day operations of the Black Panther Party, we had a central committee. And so who did the newspaper, who sold the papers on that corner, I didn't deal with. I don't know who sold those newspapers, per se, because they had people over them. And then I was over those people. You know, it went like that. Okay, I'm finished. But
Oh, thoughts? Ladies? They probably you guys.
I thought when she leaned in on that lady, that was just so entertaining to watch. It was the statement, it didn't play, but in watching the entire video, it was the statement that the reporter or the interviewer asked her right before she went on that soliloquy that set her going in like that. And listening to it earlier, what bothered me about it was the reporter was like, well, this is what people say. This is what people say. Well, what people? If you're going to come to her, or just in general, if you're going to come to me saying, well, people said, I'm not going to receive that well unless you give me names. Because if they're bold enough to say it, particularly when they're including a person's name in, then have enough respect for me, or let's be adults and come to me with, this is the issue that I have. So in regards to her clarifying it, I thought that, some people may have taken it as like, well, it didn't take all that, but I thought that she addressed it the way that it needed to be addressed, because it was that they were limiting the women to just one aspect, where the women did take an active role in the Black Panther Party compared to other civil action movements in previous dates of history.
And ladies, did you understand too also that she was trying to start a narrative and she caught it right away?
Yes, about how Black women should be in the kitchen while the men are out there, like they're subservient and just, basically just barefoot and pregnant type stuff, or the kind of mammy-ish.
Yeah. And she said, I don't want to be in, so I'm trying to get out of your kitchen. That was powerful. I said, whoa. I mean, we'll get into that later, but I don't hear some of the pro-Black women of today, the contemporary ones, talk like that to reporters for some reason. The last one we had is what? Sister Soldier, I think. And you know how they treated her. Let's see, Toya, you curried up, or you wanted to do a comment on the?
I was just rinsing my rice, but so I guess I'm in the minority here, because while I can appreciate what you all had to say about that clip, I guess I'm just of the mind that the communication would have landed better if it was given different. And halfway through her diatribe, I checked out because I'm like, why is she so angry? But I get it. I get why she's angry. I understand it. But I just think that sometimes you lose impact when your passion comes across as an assault. And so in that regard, I felt like, maybe she could have chosen her words more carefully. While her words were no doubt poignant, I fear that she didn't even get the point across that she was trying to make.
Okay.
So if I like that you brought that up, Toria, if I can add something to that, or add a different perspective to it. Toria makes a great point. First, let me state that. It's possible that she responded that way because the reporter or the interviewer's intent may have been an assault to begin with. Because if we look at, and it wasn't played, so maybe if that question was played, I don't know if that,
it was
you may
real
have
low.
linked, if I don't know if you linked it in the chat or not, Art, but the question that preceded that part of the video was an offensive question. And that wasn't aired on the stream right now, but just me, when I'm listening to certain things, I try to put myself in the person's shoes that's not only asking the question, but particularly a person that's responding. So one, that could have been a trigger for her. Two, she's probably been asked that question numerous times before, and it limits or belittles the work or the bigger goal of what they were trying to do. If we look at historical context, and this program was mimicked on the national level, was that the Black Panther Party was one of the first programs to implement a school lunch program, not only in California, but that spread throughout the US. Now, they don't get credit for it like they should, but if we look at it historically, they were one of the first ones to do that nationally. So if this is a woman who was an active member in the Black Panther Party, at one point, and they're just limiting her role to, well, all the women were in the kitchen, I would have responded the same way, because you're just looking at me as a female and not the actions that I did. And it was a setup. The way I took it was a setup question from begin. So sometimes you do have to give folks straight in regards to, you may not like my tone. It may be considered aggressive. Some people may consider it offensive, but we have to know when folks are coming at us to where they're looking for us to respond a certain way. And sometimes being nice doesn't always get it.
I have to agree with you, Shonda. I really know that there's value in getting folks together right in the moment. I guess I'm just more of a strategic thinker in terms of how that fares down the line. And to your point, it probably wasn't the first time she was asked that question, and most likely she was goaded into providing a certain type of answer. I completely picked that up. But I think that if we are going into situations fully knowing that that's going to be used as a trigger or a way to undermine what work went into what we contributed, then I think we can also be strategic about how we answer to that in a way that still gets folks together, but well after you've even left the conversation. Because I'm a big fan of planting seeds and watching them grow from afar. And it's not necessarily to say it's a nice way or a not nice way of doing things. We all have our methods. But I am certainly not someone who tends to pop off, because that's just not my strong suit. While I can admire and appreciate it for sure, and there are times and places for it, it's just not my ministry.
Now, keep in mind that she was part of the Panther Party, and then most of the time when you see them in front of a mic, for the most part, they pretty much were straightforward, even back then. She's a boomer. She was a radical boomer. And if you notice, like how the black, and this is probably the best time to talk about this, I guess. Like, for example, I can tell when she talks and Angela Davis, if they both talk, I definitely know that they don't see eye to eye. Right? Angela Davis is an intersectionalist, right? And so that means she champions the whole Gloria Steinem and all this kind of stuff. Whereas you heard Elaine Brown was anti-Gloria Steinem, right? Because and then she even pointed out the fact that Gloria Steinem worked for the CIA and she was a Playboy bunny. So, so she was. I think that's the thing to where the media kept putting out that the Black Panthers were disregarding women and being chauvinist, and so she had to really push back with the way that Panthers do. So if you could do a compare and contrast between Elaine Brown, I mean, y'all know much about Elaine Brown besides the video?
But she was a leader in the party for
Yeah,
in the late 70s.
yeah. So
She's
go ahead,
originally
Maya.
from Oakland, I believe.
Okay.
But to and I hope I don't sound like I'm repeating myself. I thought her statement was powerful. I thought the entire video was powerful. At least I can only speak for myself. But one thing I liked about the way, and some people are going to look at this as that was aggressive and to take all that. She just asked the question by, cooking food and being in the kitchen. And then it went to octave, it went from 0 to 305 seconds. But I look at things from the aspect of if we're going to have a conversation about a topic. So we can't deny that she was a Black Panther, whether we agree or not, of whether she should have been involved with the organization or not. That's to each individual's decision. But what I got from that was that the questions were coming from they were trying to push a narrative is what I got with that question in regards to we're just going to look at one aspect of the party or one attribute of the party or things that they were possibly known to do, but we can't really specifically say that they did that. Well, I'm of the aspect, let's put it all out on the table. If we're going to have a real conversation about something, let's put it all out on the table. And sometimes that means we got to knock dominoes down. Sometimes that means we may have to kick the door down. But if we're going to get to a resolve or really have a true discussion, sometimes those discussions are not comfortable. And yes, you should factor in people's feelings and choose our words accordingly. But we can't always walk on tiptoes when it comes to making a point or making a statement. If we're going to limit the Black Panther Party to where it was just an organization that was pro military strategy, Black power, this is that or whatever, that was not all that they were known for. Their legacy shouldn't just be subjectified to just those one or two things. And I think that gets lost when we have conversations and we don't bring it all out, whether it's uncomfortable or not.
And
Do you
sister,
think that
oh, go ahead, fitness mom. I was going to ask Sister Toya later, like, how would she be able to answer that question? But let's hear from fitness mom first. Go ahead, sister.
do you think that maybe the reporter was trying to be like goading her on to try to make it seem like an angry Black woman? Because the Black Panther Party was known for being more on the radical side.
Me personally, I don't think she was trying to do that. I think she was trying to get her started on talking about how chauvinist the Panthers were, and she didn't bite. She didn't take the bait. So she went. I think she went. A matter of fact, I think she shocked the reporter, in my opinion, because that was the narrative that Angela Davis put that narrative out there. By the way, that the Panthers, didn't allow women to do A, B, and C, and so the media took that. I'm not sure about what's her name, Kathleen Cleaver. I'm not sure if she went on with that, but it was Angela Davis and this other lady. She has she looks Asian. Forgot her name. Oh my god! I heard them both talking about how chauvinist the Panthers were. So Elaine Brown is kind of turning, pretty much killing the rumors. But Sister Toya, if you were able to be Elaine Brown, you know, what words would you put together to dispel the narratives that this lady was trying to start?
Well, I off the top of my head, I really wouldn't be able to give it the gusto that I would want to give
It
it.
was the disco version, not the full album.
Yeah, I think it would be somewhere along the lines of the contributions that we each made were understood and often changed. You know, something about how varied of a role it may have been to be a contributor during that time. Careful not to minimize it to one role at all, but also to even provide some mystery as to what it is the inner workings were, because the organization itself was not something that everybody should have been privy to. So I think I would have been moving along the lines of preserving what the inner workings of the organization were, but also understanding that I'm upholding a high position, a position that should be revered. So just coming from that angle.
Okay. Okay. So now we're going to get into the questions. I think Sada has some mic problems. So let me ask you sisters this, because I know y'all saw the question. What is pro-black in general? You know, based on what your understandings are. And shout out to Sheed We Here, Mr. Reliable, number one grinder, Tone Malone in the building. I'm listening, BGS in the building, and also Edward Anderson in Third Ward, Columbia. Go ahead. Anybody wants to jump on that question? Oh, I'll repeat it again. What is pro-black in general? And based on your understanding. And please hit the like buttons, you guys out there in the chat. Please hit the like buttons. Go ahead. Anyone? Oh, should I call names?
I'll go because I looked up
I'll just start calling
the
names.
definitions. This is going from the definition that I looked up when I looked it up. It's a lifestyle that encourages economic growth and the development of Black people as a whole, with the purpose of increasing the wealth and populations of Blacks around the world. The way I interpret that for myself is it's pretty self-explanatory after reading the definition, but it's about being about the purpose and the mission of improving our people, whether that's access to education, not only for men as well as for women, businesses, equality when it comes to health, as well as health disparities, improving that, economic improvement, business, and working together as a collective group. That's the way I see pro-Black.
Okay. Fitness mom, what you got? What you got? What is pro-black? Okay, we'll go to Toya the Curry. Go ahead.
I think Shonda summed it up quite succinctly. But I think that even zooming out, pro-Black is anything in promotion of Blackness.
Okay. So based on what we've been seeing today, not the pro-black sisters from back then, but today, the ones that I guess society calls pro-black. You know, they've been on commercials, they've been, you know, wearing, you know, being on advertisements and things like that. What exemplifies a pro-black woman today? You know, what are they showing us? Let's go with Toya. There you go. We'll go up.
I was just going to say, I think that it's so far-reaching nowadays because we enjoy a certain level of freedom now that it allows us to express that in a myriad of ways. So, you know, that can be someone who's in the entertainment business, to someone who is a practicing doula, to someone who is an owner operator of a laundromat. There are so many examples of that, and I love that contemporary sisters exemplify pro-Blackness in all these different ways, because It's not. It supports the saying we always use, which is that we're not a monolith.
Okay. Fitness mom. Okay, we'll get back to her. Sister Shonda.
Repeat the question. I'm sorry. All right, repeat the question for me.
What what contemporary sisters exemplifies pro-black today? You know, what are the characteristics? You know, what are things you know that they show to us and people just say, hey, that's pro-black.
I think the sisters that exemplify that are the sisters who are realistic and active about bettering their community and understanding and fully recognizing the ills that we face as a society, particularly with us being African American or Black or however we want to label ourselves, but also actively being sincere about ways that we can fix that. They're about pro-family. And when I say pro-family, that means a functional male and woman in the same household, or if they're not in the same household, they're both active in their children's life. They're about pro-community. They are not to where they grew up in a predominantly African American environment, but as soon as they have access, they go live in a gated neighborhood and have nothing to do with the people who look just like them. Or if they choose not to live in that environment, they still contribute to that environment with their finances, whether that's supporting Black businesses or things along, or sponsoring different things along that line. So that's the way I consider or see a contemporary Black female in this day and age.
Okay, so you guys seen examples of that, like quite a bit with today's pro-black females.
No, you don't see it as much nowadays as you used to. It's hard to see that in a big abundance. At least I don't. I can only speak for myself. I don't see that as much.
Fitness mom, you back with us? Okay. Woo, all right. She is busy, boy. Okay. So, you know, when I talk about the pro-black woman today, it's not the one of yesterday. Yeah, I fully understand. So the one that you kind of see. So I throw those out there like Tamika Mallory's, the BLM ladies, who else we talked about? Issa Rae, that kind of thing. Now, based on their talking points and things that you've heard, we even throw in what's that lady's name? Angela Rye, maybe. You know, she probably on that stuff too. The way they talk today. Have you kind of gathered like which items have been their top priority when you hear them speaking? Have you like what comes to mind as far as their priorities? Let's go with Toya.
I would say that a lot of them don't speak to me or for me, so it's largely it's I mean I this is largely over my head, I would say, because those people don't speak to me. While I can, okay, maybe Issa Rae does, but all the other ones you named, not really checking for them. And I think two things can be true, right? You can be pro-black, but also pro-feminist or pro-black and anti-black male. So it's like the all-encompassing is where it's lacking for me. And to your point about not having the women of yesteryear and those types of examples prevalent today, like it leaves a lot to be desired.
Okay. Why did AB say with lettuce and tomato on the side? I don't understand what he mean by it. Okay. Chuckle. What about let me see. Fitness mom. Let's try it again. Fitness mom. Let's do it like Kevin Samuels says. Fitness mom says, fitness mom says, fitness mom says. Okay, she's not here. It didn't work. Okay. Sister Shonda, what you got for us?
I will agree with the Issa Rae. I definitely think that she exemplifies some pro-black attributes and qualities. But for the BLM, what we know as the BLM founders or leadership, I never considered them pro-black. Angela Rye, I don't consider her pro-black either.
What about the priorities? Like, what's
The priorities to me that they represent are more so feminist, in my view, and I have to disagree with Sister Toya respectfully. I don't think both can occur at the same time, just based on the definition, because the definition states that pro-black is for the betterment of all. So if these women are those that subscribe to this feminist mindset, particularly Black women that subscribe to this pro-black feminist mindset, it's an oxymoron and it's a double standard, and that can't exist. You have to pick a side, because one is going to defeat out the other. Do I think that Angela Rye and some of these ladies are well spoken and that they are highly educated? Yes, I do, but I don't think that they are for the betterment of the entire collective. That's not what I see. Regardless of what they say, that's not what I see.
okay?
When you
So
put it that way, Shonda, I think we do agree. I think I was more so speaking from the point of self-actualization, and since those women are Black, I would think that they would have some angle of pro-Blackness to them. But to your point about it being an oxymoron, I have to agree.
okay, and fitness mama, you're back. And then okay, so she sent me a message. So I saw the okay, so she's worked. There's a little technical difficulty there. Okay, but yeah, because what and this is I'm glad you ladies answered this way. And by the way, those people, please hit the like button if you can, share, subscribe, subscribe to Shauna. You don't have a channel yet, huh?
Nope,
Okay.
not gonna have one.
Okay, never gonna get it. Okay. Um okay, so but Toya the Tutor has a channel. So please subscribe to her channel. Eventually around this, later on during this live stream, we're gonna put in the chat since I don't have anybody in the chat doing it for us. What happened to what's his name? Rogish. He should be putting that in there. Come on, Rogish. What's up with you, brother? Anyhow. Um But anyhow, the reason why the question was asked is because the items that that people fight on the behalf of Black people, right? And for the most part, yeah, I was trying to find out if you ladies could name some of the stuff that they could that you can gravitate to. But eventually, I mean, apparently, I think they do a lot of talking, but you don't really hear like a lot of items or any items that are for Black people. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
But I think that's why a lot of it goes over my head, like I said.
Yeah, because like if they're saying
For
stuff,
me.
oh, go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
They say stuff, and and then it just, they might say a few things just about an event. Maybe somebody got killed. I don't know, and they'll denounce that, or somebody says something on the air. But as far as stuff that we know that's coming to us based on people listening, it's not said, right? Um, but here's a following question on that. Same question about pro-Black brothers today. I'm curious. Have you heard pro-Black brothers speak and talk about different priorities, uh, on the behalf of Black people? And if so, what priorities have you heard?
What comes to mind for me is some of the work that Ice Cube was trying to do or has been doing Because his initiative, whether he created it solely by himself or whether he created it in collaboration with talking with numerous others, is a plan that I felt would be a way to progress us collectively. It wasn't just geared towards strictly Black men, and it wasn't just geared towards strictly Black women. It was a collective issue, and that's, to me, the way I see us being able to make effective change. A house divided can't stand. So whether it's a Black woman saying we don't need Black men, or whether it's a Black man saying we don't need Black women, I don't see that long term working out successfully. As much as there's friction between the two groups, and there is major friction between the two groups, and that's not a new phenomenon. But he's one that comes to mind for me. I know he gets a lot of pushback in the space, and he has his criticisms that are due to him. But I also have to look at some of the things that Dr. Boyce Watkins talks about, because he speaks a lot from an economical standpoint and ways that we can come together and progress economically. Dr. Claude Anderson, some of our well-known Black scholars. So those to me are just a few examples of pro-Black by what they speak on, what they live by, and what they have been able to show has been effective to help us get to the next level and improve our quality of life and improve our ways of life as a group.
Okay. Let's try Fitness Bob again. She's not there. Sister Toya, what you have in this about the priorities here for Black men?
Well, I like the work that Killer Mike is doing. You know, a lot of what resonates with me is that he's coming at it from the angle of our generation and understanding how to impact folks where they're at versus the traditional ways of doing things, which don't quite curl over once you get into a certain age group. But I think that even just to keep it on an entertainment level, I mean, when you look at some of the work that people like Charlemagne the God has done, while I may not agree with all of what he's done and his methods for doing, he has done some really good work in the furthering of being pro-Black. And there's so many tentacles, ways that you can go about achieving that and being still under that umbrella. So I think it doesn't always have to be at a grassroots level where someone, like, for example, the comedian, I think his name is Red Grant. He's running for mayor in Baltimore, and
He is?
yeah, and I think it's amazing that stuff like that is starting to happen. Like, even the guy from Lords of the Underground, Dupree Kelly, is running for office in Newark. So I mean, there's ways that people are making in a young, in for the younger folks that may not look like much to the older folks, but it is something.
Red Grant, he's funny too, and he's running for mayor.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so you guys, please hit the like buttons around there, because this might be the new Apollo night. But since Sister Shonda brought up the Ice Cube thing, we're gonna put this in there for a second here to see what she's talking about, for the refresh on people's memory. So here we go.
Said they're pretty much all the same when it comes to a president and dealing with our situation.
So I gotta ask this question. Because you're on this show with Cocktails with the Queens, and there's a reason for that. It wasn't to have you defend or not defend Donald Trump. It was about, I care about what's in this contract with Black America for women, and it's not, we're not mentioned at all in the contract with Black America. And
you are mentioned. I mean, when you mention Black people, you mentioning Black women. So don't count yourself out.
No, that's not true. It's like administration say that when they
Black people is not Black women. Black women are not included in Black people.
No,
Come on,
it's
ladies.
but that's like, you know, that's like you saying, that's like when the president says minorities, then he's including Black people. But we all know that's not the case. Black women have specific needs that are not also being met. And we also feel that there should be some things that are specific to us and our plight as well. And
I understand that.
I feel like as a Black man, you can lead.
No,
I feel like
well, I
you can
just offered y'all to write a section up for it. I just said I don't mind if you guys help us.
Where do we start? Okay, who wants to go first?
See, now if those women were in the kitchen cooking, they wouldn't have been having that kind of. I'm just.
Oh my God. Oh man, they almost imagine if it was in person, they probably would have get them in a headlock and
Every time I see that snippet, it just has me shaking my head in shame. It speaks to ignorance because black people period in this country are minorities, whether Sabrina Johnson knew that or not. For those that didn't know that, minority is a smaller percentage, so we fit under the minority group whether we like it or not. So let's first start with that. But in regards to they were looking for something specific for Black women. Well, if you identify yourself as a Black woman, you would fall under the umbrella of being Black. You're just of the gender of a female. So we still fit into what he was trying to do. And the fact that he couldn't get more grounding and support for his program or his plan just speaks to us like, you know, we can't decide what our top priorities are. And then when we start to have that conversation and put things either in an itemized list or prioritize it as like the top 3 or the top 5, you always have a sector that comes in and it's like, well, if this is not on here, I'm just going to turn over the freaking table and it's not going to get done. And sometimes you have to be willing to move on with leaving a group behind. And I hate to say that, but you're not going to get a total consensus on one single idea. That rarely in history has happened. So since in history that hasn't happened, why would it happen now? But let's not focus so much on the little mini groups and focus on the bigger groups. Because what good does it do us if the small sector gets what they want and they're moving and they're doing what they need to do, or they're able to elevate out of their unfortunate circumstances, but the majority of the group is left behind. You can't really say that you did anything great. So that little segment was just so ignorant to me, because it's like, how can you say we're not a minority? And we are, but then Black women are not a minority. It makes no sense. Pick which side of the fence you're gonna be on, and either stay in the middle or choose one side, but quit hopping and doing double dutch.
And let's check with Fit This Bomb. Are you back? Man, there's a Super Bowl on today or something? Sister Toy, you wanted to add on besides the cooking?
No, I'm totally in agreement with what Shonda said. And I always say this: everybody can't come. We're not going to be able to bring everybody. I've made peace with having to step over dead bodies.
Wow, man. Now the funny part, I'm glad you mentioned. Man, she took the word out of my mouth too. Okay. Yeah, because that was the part where we were like, we still scratching our. I mean, every time because you know how most of us as Black folks, we try to give everybody a chance, something to say, something to clarify. Every time I see it, it's like, what is what is it so pressing where all these ladies that supposed to be the black queens, right? That's what they call themselves. What is it so important to where they have to separate as a different unit in his plan? I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, what? Free parking? What? Because if it's about like pregnancy and all that, all women get pregnant, right? So that's not specifically a black thing, you know. I was trying to figure that out. Like, what is it, right? I don't know. Shout out to Jay Shine and King Wage. And so what I've also did too, because you often hear, I guess we would call it the quote unquote conservative sector of Black YouTube, right? And they often say words like communita, and they definitely give you this whole negative connotation about pro-black. So we got that understanding, correct? We hear this quite a bit. No? Yes?
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
I should have said check. Well, I got a couple of responses. And I said this, I read it before. The first one is from Hood Conservative. Right. One day I'm gonna do a segment with them, right? But I gotta really have a strategy with that so I can get the truth out of it. But this one, it says, I covered this maybe 2 Saturdays ago on Bernard Riley's show. Black women are waging a war against white men and using black men as pawns. Whatever power and control they say white men have through patriarchy, they want that power and control for themselves while aggressively and at times viciously denying that same power and control to black men. This is also why I criticize over saturation of the dating dynamic conversations in Black manosphere. Many of the dating problems would be mitigated if Black men had more control over their own families and children. What do you ladies say about that? This is from Hood Conservative.
I see no issue with that. I think that would put us in a much more advantageous place as a community. Like I don't have any issue with that.
Okay. Fitness Mom, you back? Jeez. Okay. Sister Shonda?
Yes, I'm back.
Oh, okay. So, Sister Shonda or Fitness Mom, you guys want to chime in on what I just read from Hood Conservative?
I'll let Fitness Mom go since she's been rejoining us.
I had some issues in the house that I had to take care of real quick.
That's okay. Just leave the lights on. It's okay.
Now, I was still in the middle of connecting. So can you start at the top with that reading? Because my connection was still connecting. That's why when you asked if I was here, it still took me a while to answer.
He said that, this is from Hood Conservative. He says, Black women are waging a war against white men and using black men as pawns. Whatever power and control they say white men have through patriarchy, they want the power and control for themselves while aggressively and at times viciously denying that same power and control to black men. This is also why I criticize the oversaturation of the dating dynamics conversations in the Black manosphere. Many of the dating problems would be mitigated if black men had more control over their own families.
I can see how someone would think that, I don't know about the whole black women using black men as pawns because, the way it seems now in today's dating landscape, black women and black men don't seem to be getting along too well to use each other as anyway. But I mean, I know, I don't know. I'm looking in. I don't know what it's like out there in that the the world of dating or whatever. So
Okay.
I mean, I can't actually talk on that because I don't know any women that will be using men for pawns, or like I just don't know anything about that.
Okay.
What I will say to Hood's servitive statement is the first part of that statement. I would be curious to know how he came to that conclusion, particularly that black women are waging a war against white men. Because I disagree with that. Jay Sean beat me to it, but I agree with what he said. Black women don't have power like that. So, looking at it from a historical context, we can have a debate about it if we want to, but the power structure of America has been predominantly white, Anglo-Saxon, male since before the United States was officially recognized as the United States in 1776. So, yeah, I don't agree with the first part of his statement. I do agree with the last part of his statement in regards to if black men were able to have more control over the family structure of the black family, then that would resolve a lot of the issues we as a group have been dealing with and are currently dealing with. I do agree with that, but I strongly disagree with that black women are waging a war against white men. A lot of the issues that black women have adapted to, and whether they recognize that they are doing it or they're in agreement when doing it, is based out of feminism, which is based out of white supremacy.
And I was like, because I was thinking, I agree with the second part. If black men had more control over their families, it would be a better family structure. But that's the thing that, like, how can black women be using black men as pawns if black women don't have black men? Like the majority, that's the part that confuses me.
Well,
Like,
I'm sorry, Fitness Mom, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
oh no, you could go ahead.
There's there are some black women that use black men as pawns. Let's just use BLM as an example that came up earlier. Some people identify them as a pro-black group. I never did, and I don't now. If we were to go back, and I don't know if you're able to still find it, but if you look at their initial mission statement, stated nothing in solidarity to the black family. It actually spoke strongly against it. Now you had to keep reading down the paragraphs because it was one of those things to where it's like, okay, if you glanced over it really quickly, you can pick it up. But if you read it line for line and in detail, it was probably around maybe the fifth or the sixth paragraph that it talked about the true goals and priorities of the organization was to promote inclusiveness and the destruction of the black family. Well, you can't say if that's what they originally was founded on, and that's what they use to try to get the power that they have been able to get or the resources they have been able to get, then that is, in my understanding, using black men as pawns because you are profiting and you're marketing off of the death of black men. How did they get into such a well-recognized standing nationally? Because of Mike Brown, because of people like Trayvon Martin, Freddie Gray, all of these, Alton Sterling, all of these other black men. Sandra Bland is one, but she's one of the few black women that were included in that. But all of these black men that lost their lives, unfortunately, and now we're parading in the streets for rights. But where did those donations go? To a multi-million-dollar house in California? It's not going to, help incentivize education programs. It's not going to help fund these inner city schools are things along that line. So to an aspect that is using Black men as pawns.
Oh, I agree that certain groups can and do use Black men as pawns, and certain Black women can and do use Black men as pawns. But his statement was as a general statement, like Black women in general. And I do not see that, and I don't understand how that could be the case when Black women in general don't have Black men to use as pawns.
That's true. I agree with you on that. Correct.
Right. And people that are coming in, please hit the like button. You gotta say buttons, but button. Share and subscribe. Shout out to American Negro, Jay Shine, another Leo in the building. Sister Toya, put the curry down for a minute. Let me. You want to weigh in?
I just want to say that Black women use Black men as pawns in ways that are so overt that I think sometimes we take them for granted. Like I have friends that have told me that they are taking insurance policies out on either a boyfriend or a baby's father. I witness the judicial system support Black women in using Black men as pawns with the way that they are doing this child support thing. I know so many brothers that are in the dumps because they have to pay such exorbitant amounts of child support when they are awesome fathers that are really doing their best to provide. And so, for me, I just think that there's way too much out there to make it easy for Black women to use Black men as pawns, so much so that I think we don't even realize it. And I'm not anybody's mother, but I see it.
But that the statement was against white men, though.
Okay, well, no, not against white men necessarily when you put it that way, no. But I still agree with the largest part of his comment, and that while things like that are going on, we cannot have Black men at the helm of our communities because we've got two conflicting energies.
So now, what I've been noticing, and maybe I don't know if women been talking about this a lot, but I'm talking about the pro-Black women that we see on the surface. I hear a lot of pro-Black women want to fight side by side. Like your Michi exes. They want, you got your gloves on one side, and she's on the other side. Y'all back to back, looking for the enemy. Like y'all both going to do some karate, trying to fight the man or fight the enemy. Is there any validity to is that realistic? I mean, what's behind that thought process? Let's go with Sister Shonda.
I think what's behind that thought process is being able to support that man. The side by side thing, I don't know about that. I hope I don't sound like I'm all over the place. I think that I do believe the term or the quote that behind every good man there's a good woman that's helping, supporting. That's what?
No, I was joking with you. Remember on Undercover Brother? He said, behind every good man, and Dave Chappelle came around and said, there's the police.
Oh, no. But I think that having that man's back and not being his anchor, but being his helpmate, being his support is vital. I don't know if side by side is the best way to put it, but definitely not being his backbone, but being there to have his back, being there to help prop him up when he feels at his lowest and when he feels at his weakest. I can't necessarily do that, or a woman can't necessarily do that if she's side by side with him, but she can do that if she's right behind him. And that doesn't limit or diminish her, but it's knowing your role as a female and the man knowing his role as a male and operating within it.
Okay. Fitness mom.
I agree. I think when they're say side by side, are they talking about like on the actual front lines? Like if we're protesting, then I could see women being side by side during protests and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, the whole thing is like she said, for support. You want to support the man. You want to show him that you're there. You know, you have his back. You're there to help him and watch out for anything that might be trying to come against him or anything like that. And I think that we as women, we need to decide for ourselves how our support will be for our man. Like if some women may want to support him side by side and they can, be out there with the picket line or out there doing all that stuff. I mean, that wouldn't be my role or the route I choose to take. But there might be like the woman that was in that interview who was leading, from the Panther. She was like second in command. There are women out there that are good for doing stuff like that and are good for that, but just it's not me. You understand? But they can do it.
Okay. Toya the tutor. Oh, maybe I should mention the Curry reference again. Maybe it should come up. I see that. Okay. She got a mouthful. Never mind. Okay. Let's move on to that next question here. How we doing here on time, ladies? We good?
Yep.
Okay. Now, um, this one is pretty. This is a very important question. It's kind of like maybe an opposition, well, not opposition, but just another side of hood service statement. And the question is, how does now put your chess playing skills on for a minute. How does the benefits of the white establishment going to help or going to pro-black women to help pro-black people, if that makes sense, like Black Girls Rock and all these different things. How does the benefits of what the white establishment going to help pro-black women for and then to help black people? Matter of fact, is that possible?
The only way it's possible is if we use those resources to teach little black boys how to read. You know, it has to be under the guise of something that is for women, but that we know how to actually turn around and funnel into who we elect to be the leaders of our community.
But
Okay,
I
so
think that's the point. That's why they do it for women. It's because of the fact that majority of women in general, not everybody, this is a general blanket statement, not everybody's like this, but the majority of women, they give money, they figure we'll just spend it instead of actually doing anything that's proactive actually towards the black community and helping the black boys or giving it to black men. Because if they really wanted to help the black community, they would give it to black men. Because I mean, men in general, all races, when they get money, they put it towards their families, the women that they're dating, the women they're married to, and their children. So if they really wanted to help the black family, they would do that. It seems like they want to say they're helping, but giving it to people who will 9 times out of 10, not everybody, but just give it away or give it back to the white community, spending it at weave shops or whatever they feel like doing.
okay, Sister Shonda.
Um, I don't. I agree with what the sister said, but I think one thing that he didn't include in his question was that we don't own our community, and we never really have, for the most part. So, how do we get ownership of the communities that we predominantly occupy first? Whether that's coming through the funds that Black women get, or that's coming through the funds that are raised by us as a group, Black men and Black women. But I don't see how that question can what's the word I'm looking for? I'm kind of stumped. There's ways it can be done. But like you said, you have to play chess, not checkers. If you have a Black woman that's about really helping her people, and she knows how to strategically plan and use those resources to help her people, then you can plan in the background of, hey, I'm going to funnel 25% or 40% to this, and then this other 75% is going to go to X, Y, and Z. It can be done, but it has to be very strategic and very carefully planned and calculated out. I don't know if it's through like an underground organization or anything along that line, because like with this what's the group that gave Black women so much amount of money?
It was Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. Don't think for one moment that they're going to give us as Black women these resources and they're not going to expect something in return. Or there may have already been some exchange or trade-off made before that money was promised. Or if it wasn't, they have every right to ask, okay, if I'm giving you $10 million, I want an itemized list of how you spend it. And being that they're the ones that are supplying it, they have the right to say, well, I didn't want my money to go towards this or towards that. So we as Black women have to be really strategic about how we go about doing this. I'm gonna give this quick example, and hopefully this kind of addresses the question. I've seen Black women in leadership positions, particularly when it comes to hiring for certain positions, being whether they're in HR, whether they're VPs of companies, whether they are presidents of companies, or they have access to where they can determine whose application gets passed to the next level. And what I've seen them do is, if you have 15 positions open for a certain job role, they're going to set aside at least 5 of those positions to go to Black men. And that's a way you can try to level the playing board, whereas we can't get a seat in the table until we can get access to the room. But we have to understand that we need access to the room, but first we got to get in the building first. So I think that's one way that using the white establishment strategically, we can help our people as a whole.
All right. So what I mean by the chess play, what if you were the white establishment? Why would I give all this money to Black men? And the thing is, as we notice for several years, we can't really find much in history where the white establishment have gave something to a people without having a reason or having a return from it. So, do you really think that the white establishment giving it, because that's kind of to Fitness Mom's point, do you really think that the white establishment is giving all these quote unquote, we talking about ladies that claim to be pro-Black, giving all this money to them and then expecting to them to do the right thing?
Of
That
course
would
not.
be okay.
But there has to be a level of I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut anybody off. I'll wait.
Go ahead, Finish.
The white establishment wants to make sure that they're saying they're giving it to a certain group of people, but the white establishment likes to vet people. So they want to make sure they give it to the people who are going to do the least with it. It's like they do with a lot of the other things that they give to women. They give it to them to basically keep the family apart. More reliance, more self-reliant, building up on them and making them think that they don't need to add to. If you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Sister Shonda.
And 2, I think it's a level of being compromised as well, to add to Fitness Mom's point.
Can you go into that? Go into
Well,
that.
so it's been stated to whereas when you look at certain leaders and that are certain individuals that have been identified or recognized as Black leaders nationally or internationally, there's a level of compromise that comes with that. I didn't always believe that, but I definitely believe that now. Because being that, and well, we can't get around race. I mean, as much as we can't get around the elephant in the room there with it being a race issue. Being that the power structure in our country is still predominantly white, even though their numbers are trending down, they still own the major power structure within the U.S., whether that is economic, business, education, law, housing, you know, healthcare, down the line. They dominate those power structures. And when you have certain Black leaders that ascend to these levels, if you notice when they start off, by the time they get to the national standpoint, there either is a change in some of their major talking points, or they fall back in how aggressive they are to do certain things.
So it's
I'm
theater.
gonna give some references just so if people is like, and hopefully I don't get that call on my phone in regards to what I'm saying. But like Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson, just to name a few. Oprah Winfrey. These are recognized leaders within the African American community, but there's a compromise there because the issues that are going on with your people, and you knew the issues before you got to that level. If you're serious about making the change and you have access to the people that can make the change, and you were on the front lines, particularly Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, but it's always this circular conversation to whereas we need to do this, why do we allow this to happen, why is this going on 40, 50, 60, 100 years, but nothing really gets changed to where the laws on the books don't change. Then it's a reason behind that, and we have to recognize when we're being bamboozled, and know when people are just saying stuff to make us feel well emotionally, but at the end of the day or afterwards, they're going to get their check and they're going to go on about their business. I look at it from the standpoint of sometimes one person can affect change, but that's not always the case. But if you have access to where you can get in those rooms and have those backdoor conversations with these people or the individuals that make the laws, that have access to grants or financing or this is that or whatever, and that doesn't get done, then why is that? Is it because the money's not there? Well, you just gave X, Y, and Z to this group, or you have all this money allocated to these hundreds of thousands of Ukraine immigrants that's going to come in and get government resources, but they're not American citizens. So there's a level of compromise that comes with ascending into those roles. And we have to know when people are running game on us or when folks are really there to say what they're about.
Your chess game is impeccable. Okay. um, Sister Toya, do you want to follow up on what we were asking?
I have nothing to add.
You gonna get the money back? No, I'm joking. Okay, so now we're going to be going into more chess play on this particular question. And those that are coming in, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Let's see. Now this is more of a today. What would be now if you remember the Elaine Brown conversation when she was really going off about the kitchen and all this kind of stuff? What the way that you see things now? What would be the right place for a pro-black woman today? Like where would it be? Like domestic, corporate, the schools, or the entertainment? Well, let's go with fitness mom.
I think we need pro-black women in all of those areas. Actually, I can't say a best place, because if she's pro-black and she's only in the home, then she's really only influencing her immediate surroundings. If she's pro-black in schools, then she's actually able to influence younger children, or children of, especially if she's in the younger grades, she's able to influence the children more, and that's a good one. If she's pro-black and in entertainment, then she can influence masses of people. So I think
Okay.
we need pro-black people in all of those sectors.
Okay. Sister Shonda.
I totally agree with Fitness Mom. I think that they need to be spread out through all different sectors. It should start in the home first, because that's where you likely have the most direct impact, because those individuals are right there under the same roof with you. But you also need them in corporate, because that's how you get more pro-black people hired on, or even the playing field amongst black men getting access to power, as well as black women, in the education system, advocating for the education and the true history that it is being taught. You also need it in the healthcare aspect, and definitely within entertainment, because images are powerful. People mimic what they see. So if the image that's repetitively being played is that black women are baby mamas, or they're hypersexual, or this is that or whatever, and black men are thugs and bums and all this stuff, we know that's not the case. We know um too many realities that are counter to that narrative. But unless you have someone that can come in and that can show that, hey, this is just a very small percentage of my people, this is not what we represent as a whole, then that image is not going to change, or the way that the world sees us is not going to change. So you need that spread all throughout.
And we got Black Huru Strikes. Shout out to her. I'm gonna give me. I gotta give me a good response when we get cash apps, when we have the sisters up, or even super chats. He says, haven't heard much from Jesse since about 20 years ago. His son got that exclusive Budweiser distributorship. Well, thank you, fam. Sister Toya, what would be the rightful place of a pro-black woman today?
I'm going to harken back to my answer to your second question about which contemporary sisters exemplify pro-black today. And my answer remains the same. These are women that you find everywhere. So we shouldn't confine them to a rightful one place. Their rightful place is everywhere that we exist, whether that be a stay-at-home mom, a caregiver, the coin laundry operator, the school lunch lady. All of those things are where they are rightful places. So I have to agree with both Fitness Mom and Shonda.
Okay. And those who are coming in here, please hit the like button, share, subscribe. Now here's another one here. Okay, when I mention today, not about because usually when I mention today, I'm trying to talk about, like, for example, if you're able to answer the question about how you think it should be, then that means everybody's doing everything right? But what about the ones that are doing that's claiming to be pro-black, but doing A, B, and C, and you're not seeing much results? So we're trying to go from that factor. So that's the reason why I have to preface this for this question. How does a quote unquote pro-black woman today raise a child or children? Let's go with Fitness Mom. based on how they are today?
I would think probably within a small community of other like-minded women and like-minded families.
Okay. Now, so based on how how we've been talking about the pro-black woman today, that's how can I say um that we've been picking apart. Let's just say we've been picking apart. We've been kind of critical of, but yet she has children. Remember, I showed. Matter of fact, let me pull that out. Let me pull the old BLM poster. Remember that BLM Rolling Stone poster we had when the lady was with
The
her
lady with the flag with the fist with George
yeah,
Floyd.
that's where I'm going with that. 'Cause that's very important. Because what happens when we don't address it, then they kind of slip out our hands like a wet fish. So we gonna put the flashlight on them. Okay. So let me. Oh God, what the heck? They're trying to hide this now. I'm gonna find. Let me get another one here. Hold on. What I just did, I opened it, and it said that it's what do you call it? It's private property or something. You think a lot of people are trying to protect this image. Okay, so let me see. I'm sort of a computer guy myself, so let me. Oh, jeez. Okay, they protected it. Can y'all believe that? That's why it's not popping up. We'll get it. We'll get it. Okay. All right. So here's another one right here. So let me go ahead and open this up real quick. Twitter's not gonna let me down. Here we go. Oh no. Sorry, you guys. Sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Even Twitter let me down. Have y'all noticed? Like most of the time, we try to download images, is they're protected. Yes. No. Anyhow. So going back to this again. The reason why I really have to ask that question. Okay. Obviously, this is your pro-black woman today. And we're going to assume that's not her little brother. We're going to assume that's her son. How is this lady raising her son, in your opinion? Just bring it out there.
I see that as she is raising her son to take a passive role, and not a role of leadership. One thing that I noticed looking at that picture the last time, and I didn't mention it, but it struck me looking at it, was he's a young man, she's a fully grown woman. But if you notice, that would be her right leg is fully stretched out, and his posture is he has the fist up, but he's still kind of scrunching down.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that says something
Mm-hmm.
in regards to why can't he fully stand up? He doesn't look disabled. Even if he fully stands up, his one foot is on top of the stairs, the other foot is, but that to me symbolizes something, is that image wants the black man to be under the black woman. And then in addition to what I commented on previously, is that you don't really see any black males in the picture except the representation of a deceased black man, George Floyd, who's in the center of her t-shirt. So I think that's what that represents. I hope I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but to answer your question, Art, in regards to how would a pro-black woman raise a black family today, I'm not a mother, but I think I'll make it a little personal and using some of the attributes that my parents did with raising me, even though this was back in the early 80s and into the 90s. was that there was no question of I was a Black female. Yes, I am a American first, but my parents made it very obvious to me, probably because I grew up in the Deep South and they're from the Deep South, and they also grew up in the time of segregation and integration. They're boomers. Was that they wanted me and my brother to know that never be ashamed of your Blackness, never be ashamed of where you're from. And very early on, not only was reading introduced to us at an early age, but I remember being 6, 7, 8 and having to sit down and watch Eyes on the Prize every week about the history of the civil rights movement and the struggles that African Americans went through before they were able to integrate. I remember my parents having those conversations with me to where you have to be 2 times as good or better just to be considered as equal. It's not fair, it's not right. But instilling into your children or that child confidence or understanding of who they are, where they come from, and also instilling in them the importance of giving back. Just because you're able to make it doesn't mean that you made it by yourself. Someone had to sacrifice for you to get to that level or to get to the level that you're trying to get to. So for me, raising a pro-black child or pro-black family is one, instilling those virtues in them of know who you are, don't be ashamed of who you are, don't apologize for who you are, know where you come from as well as your people, but don't be afraid to give back.
Okay. And Fitness Mom, did you cover that question too?
After seeing that picture, I don't think I could tell you how she would raise her child. The thing about it is, when it comes to different type of women, men know women better than women know women in that situation, because like a man can date around different women and the different mindsets, and as a man you got to get to know each woman and each mindset so that you could be able to categorize where the women go, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And as a woman, like usually us as women, we tend to stick around women with our same mindset. So we don't like, I don't go dabbling in this group or dabbling in that group and then dabbling in that group to get to know them. So I couldn't even put myself in the mindset of a woman like that, because there's no way I would be standing in front of a bunch of people with my child by my side with my fist up. That's like unthinkable to me. So I couldn't tell you how she would raise her child because I can't even put myself in her shoes.
Okay. Yeah, that's the image that we're being uh, served about pro-black women. So that's the part I think that I don't know if I'm asking the questions right, but this is what we're dealing with today when it comes to that word pro-black. That's probably why you get so much pushback on why a lot of these guys speak so ill about the word pro-black, because they're not really talking about what you ladies say what should be pro-black, but we're talking about what's been served to us, and that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. Are all of the pro-black sisters on that, or everybody's trying to be on solidarity, or some of the sisters are like, that's them over there, I see things different. That's why these questions are being asked, and that's why you sisters are here. You're the voice of reason. So we're gonna move further on this now. It says, now this is going into academia a little bit, but yet some women have dibbled and dabbled in that. And the question is, this is again for today. Have pro-black women often lean on intersectionality to pass agendas, and if so, how is it working now? Let's go with Sister Toya.
Before I answer that, I just want to say in reference to that picture, I think that it's also indicative that she's raising her son to emulate her. A lot of his stance seems to mimic her own. And though he may not be able to get it down perfectly, it appears that she is raising him to move in her image. Um, and so when you think about intersectionality, it would behoove Black women who are raising their children in their own image, even the boys, uh, to support something that covers all bases, if you will, no matter what the outcome.
Now, what about the girl? I think Fitness Mom touched on it a little bit about being with like-minded. But what about the girls? I mean, what kind of effect would it have on the girls when they raise girls?
Well, I think it has, I'll speak personally and say it has the effect of seeking otherwise. Because I think I was raised that way. And it wasn't until I came upon this space that I started to realize there is a whole audience that I've never even considered because they were never considered in my upbringing. And so I think uh, when it comes to the girls, it's the same thing, but it's more dangerous in some ways because it looks like it's okay to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, ladies, y'all wanted to. It makes sense to you, the ladies here.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I get it.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so that was pretty much how you were going to bring the picture and the intersectionality together, or you had more to add.
No, that was it.
Okay, Sister Shonda.
I'm sorry. Repeat the question for me one more time.
It was I have pro-black women. Again, this is based on today. Often lean on intersectionality to pass agendas, and if so, how is it working now?
Okay. So, yes, they have, but I don't consider the women that lean on intersectionality that say that they're pro-black truly pro-black. And for me, definitions of words and terms are very important. So we stated the definition of pro-black early on. We can go over the definition of intersectionality, but everybody that's here and in the chat is of sound intelligence, so they can Google it or look it up if they so choose. But their intersectionality to me does not coincide with pro-black. I think is actually opposite of, because it's aspect of intersectionality that comes with a sense of entitlement, to whereas because I'm this, because I'm that, because I've been in this group, or my group has been oppressed, or this is that, or whatever, then I'm entitled to XXYZ. But your group is not the only group that's been oppressed or been held back or been discriminated against. So I see it being in conflict versus meshing together collectively, because from some of the women that we may recognize as being pro-black, and one that's popping into mind right now is Angela Rye. I see her more so as an intersectionalist than a pro-black. So I don't see how, if we're going to go by what the terms of the definitions mean, how they can benefit. I actually see it causing more of a separation than anything.
Well, good luck on that because they try to push down on us like crazy. Um, and for those who are out in the chat that doesn't know what intersectionality is, one of the breakdowns, they say intersectionality is the acknowledgement that everyone has their own experiences, which Sandra said, of discrimination and oppression, and we must consider everything and anything that can marginalize people, gender, race, class, sexual orientation, physical ability, etc. So that's what we've been noticing a lot, but some people are still falling for the banana in the tailpipe because if you hear it in their talking points, you know, we talk on the behalf of black people, they got to add those other things in there. You know, first it was black and brown. You know, the black and brown, black and brown. Now, if you listen to Mark Lamont Hill, he throws other things in there, but speaking on the behalf of us. But he has to throw other things in there, and people kind of accuse us of being selfish, but it's more like it blurs the lines to who really needs help the most. Go ahead, Shonda.
And that's why I say I don't see it as actually being able to work together. And maybe because I look at stuff differently, you know, I'm very analytical. I consider myself an analytical person, and I could go all the way to the rabbit hole. But when I look at it, it's like, okay, if someone looks at me or looks at a black person and they may be of a certain group, they're going to see my skin first. Whether they see that I have boobs and a butt, they're going to see my skin color first. So if we're going to say we're black, then black includes black male, black female, black minors, Ligibbets. We don't know what we want to be, what we black. It includes all of it. So why do we have to have all of these different subsections unless we're trying to divide off? Because other groups don't do that. And should we compare ourselves to other groups? No, we shouldn't. But if we keep saying that, you know, we've been in this country since 1619 and we haven't been able to do this, and we haven't been able to do this, and we haven't been able to do that, then if we're really serious about changing it, then the question is, why have we not been able to do that? And it goes to, okay, can we decide what's the top priorities are, or what the issues are, or do we want to divide into all these separate individual subgroups and we can't agree on one common thing? Well, if that's the case, nothing's going to get done.
And on top of that, and I know ladies want to add on, but that's where the intersectionality comes to, where it allows you to align yourself with other people than the people that you belong to or that you are related to. You know, that's why they put orientation. Some people talk about the Ligibbets, right? Sometimes they put orientation before race, right? And then you got the feminists put gender before race, while everybody else is doing the opposite.
But my thing to that is, and I hope I'm not dominating the conversation, is why is that? It's because some of them are looking to push a certain point or a certain narrative. No one would know that unless they were raising, you know, a flag or pumping their fists in the air or doing whatever. So, you know, and certain things is like, for the people that say, well, I don't see color. Well, if you don't see color, then you don't see me or anyone that has melanated skin, because you can't look at someone who has, you know, who's black, who's Mexican, who's Latin, who's Asian, and say you don't see color, because we have pigmentation to our skin. We come in a whole array of beautiful colors. But for someone to say, well, I don't see color, then you don't see that individual. You know what I'm saying? So I see why people do it, but I also see that there's a certain narrative that's trying to be pushed when that's being done, in regards to, this is what matters most, and this is what my group wants, and this is what this group wants, and I need to separate myself off. It's very, again, to me, it comes off entitled and selfish.
And thank you, sister. And shout out to Stan. It says, Stan Shelton, Ruth. He says, who can find a virtuous woman for her price is far above rubies. Okay. You know, I guess he's trying to use discretion. Sister Fitness Mom, what you got on this question?
Yes, I agree. Like, if you're going to sit there, it's sort of like the all lives matter type stuff. If you're going to sit there and be intersectionalist, then how can you be pro-black?
Yeah. Exactly. Absolutely.
I think there's this underlying desire to make our desires or needs more palatable, thus cozying up with other people's agendas. I think that's more of what's happening here in this conversation. Like there's this idea that, hey, if we get in bed with these guys and whatever their cause is, then maybe we'll get both of ours, you know, two for the price of one type thing.
Okay. That's something to think about. But, I've been hearing the whole intersectionality conversation ever since I was in college. And it's pretty weird because I was hearing about that when I was 18. And, I'm old now, so that's how long that conversation has been. And that conversation is always to where you have to talk, I'm straight and proud, but they always have to pull at the straight people for that validation for some reason. And I guess once you drink the Kool-Aid or whatever, you kind of leave the family behind. I don't know why, if you're being an intersectionalist, why do you have to compromise your family values or just the need for family? That's where it's like, it's kind of strange that most people that buy into this intersectionality tend to put the family on the back burner, right? And it definitely went into this whole pro-black thing. And since I'm going ahead and share this with you guys here. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm talking to y'all like my students. This one here, check out this article. It says, when black women lead, we all win. 10 inspiring leaders show us the way. Do you see these people? Let me blow it up. Right? Now, I don't know why they got Valerie Jarrett looking like that. Like Austin Powers. I'm sorry, y'all. But remember I was talking about, now, is this lady on the bottom right, is that a lady? No, yes.
Yeah, I think that's Lovey. Her name is Lovey.
Oh, the African lady?
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is what they're pushing in front of us, right? This is the face of black women, y'all. The one that's supposed to look up to and supposed to be really highly influential. So that kind of goes to my question. For the most part, ladies like Angela Davis, the BLM lady, Tamika Marley, and so on. They pretty much they're the face of pro-black Americans. Not like Panthers, but they're the ones supposed to be like black, 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 black. I'm black, y'all, that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on these choices that they putting on us?
Well, my thoughts is, what are they leading? So when they say when black women lead, we all do better. Okay, what specifically are they leading? Are they leading a group of other black women? Are they leading a group of all black people? What are they leading? And some people may say that they're like, Shonda, you don't get it. Like, that's a stupid question. But they're leading, or they're pushing them or putting them in this image for them to represent something. So my question would be, what specifically are they leading? There's a congresswoman, or she may be a senator. I forget her name right now, but she's from California. Help me out. Thank you. And she has some good good work that she's done. But what is she leading? What is she leading now? So I would first ask that, what specifically are they leading? And It may come off like a hateration point, but I have to question, because these are Black women. So being that they are Black women and I'm a Black woman, these women would be considered representing the image of me as a Black female, which I have an issue with. How were they selected? What process was used to select them as the 10 images of these should be the Black leadership? What did they have to sacrifice, or how was that? What criteria was used to put them in that position?
Okay, Sister Toya.
I think that's a fair question, and I would like to know the answer to it as well, because anytime we get to talking about Black women in leadership roles, I can't help but to think about how we, by and large, are super consumers. And something about this just seems like something else they're trying to sell me.
Okay, because you're looking at what? Like, if you look at them, obviously you got entertainment, you got academia, you got politics. I think that's it, right? That's what they have here. And you have quote unquote freedom. What do you call it? What do you call social justice? There you go. Social justice warriors down there as well. So it seemed like they're trying to give you this whole quote unquote rainbow or array of Black women to represent the Black women in a way to where that's your blackety black. But the thing is, the question, well, that goes back to Shonda's and Toya's. We'll get to Sister Fitness Mom. What was the vetting process? Who chose these women? The only one I see that probably did a little bit of something for a brother was Valerie Jarrett for helping Obama stay in office. That's about it. I don't know about these other ladies though. Fitness Mom.
I think that when they push images like this, they are pushing an agenda, and they have a reason to select certain women, and they do that because of the fact that they want to basically do I think white society really wants to have the image of the strong Black woman continue on, and as people try to break that down and everything and say, well, Black women shouldn't be strong, they should be submissive, and they should be this, that, and other, they're going to try harder to push more images of that, so that it can go against any counter to that. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now the next one is this again. This is today's Black woman. Let me go ahead and throw that image right here just to make sure. Black Guru says, who wrote the article? What are the reporter reputation? It says that will tell you how and why these women are being featured.
He said, "What are their repertoire and
I'm
reputation?"
sorry, because I can barely see here. I need glasses.
Yeah, but it was written by Forbes, and I answered him in the chat. That was why I said the point about super consumerism, because just the way they tried to sell us that Black men are super predators, Black women are super consumers. And so to me, this is yet another trope that they're trying to sell me. And if I don't buy into that concept, here's another palatable way to get me to start to try to buy into it.
Okay, so this next question here. Now I had to put the image up again. So we already talked about, what has a pro-Black woman done for their sons? Unless y'all want to revisit sons and daughters, today's, right? Like based on the condition that we are, and we do have a lot of these ladies that do surface, and they do exist. Um, so have I don't know if you ladies answered it earlier, but if you may want to revisit it, What have they done for their sons and daughters for the last, 15, 20 years? Or even 30? What have they done? I mean, let it out.
Art, you're speaking from specifically the pro-black female standpoint, or
Yes,
just black
yes,
women in general?
pro-black. That's why I put this image up here, so we won't make any mistakes here. This particular type, this archetype, that have been raising children, what have they done? Like, based on what you have seen over the last few years, or even 20 years or so, what have they done?
I don't think that they have done enough, because that's a very small sector of what we now see or recognize as the black community, in my opinion. If they had done or did what they claim to do, then why are we in the position in the state that we are in, particularly when it comes to black males, or young black men? So I don't think that they've done enough. I'm of the aspect that actions always speak louder than words. So if you, as a pro-black mother or a pro-black woman, and you have a male son, and that young man has trouble reading, but you don't get him access to resources that can improve that, and it doesn't always require a financial contribution. I mean, we all have access to technology. If you have a cell phone, you have access to technology. So certain things it's not an excuse for. But I don't think that they've done enough, particularly for young black males, because there's just not it's not kind of cough words here. It's just so many things that we see with our brothers that can be fixed and that need to be fixed, but there has to be enough of us that show that we sincerely care. And we can't talk about it. We have to not only talk about it, but we have to be about it. And sometimes that means, you may not be able to get your weave done every 6 weeks, or you may have to go without, doing this or that or the other. I'm not a mother, but one of the attributes of a true mother is sacrifice.
But you were a daughter, so go ahead.
I am a daughter, and but I I don't have kids. I haven't given birth. So, but as a daughter, and two, being a sister, my brother's deceased, but my parents weren't afraid to sacrifice things for me and my brother. Looking at what a pro-black mother can do for her son specifically is putting that man in a position, with the assistance and the active role of the father, to show him what the world is and to put him on the best trajectory to be successful despite all the obstacles that he's going to face. Educating him to not only the ills of the world and the ills of society, but being upfront with him and being real with him. I remember, and I'm going to bring entertainment into it for a moment, but hopefully it makes my point. There was an episode that aired on Blackish a couple of years ago in regards to, it was, I think, around the time maybe Alton Sterling or some black male figure had gotten murdered by the police, unfortunately, unlawfully. And they did an episode about it, focusing on what it was like raising particularly black male children, because they had two black sons. There was the oldest son and there was the younger son. And then there was an image they showed on the screen with, it was Barack Obama's first inauguration, and him and Michelle were walking down the street. To wrap things up and get to the point, Bo, who was Tracy Rossick's character, was kind of torn on presenting the negative stereotypes, or, you know, presenting that reality that Black men need to be informed and educated on how to deal with the police and how to know how to act in certain environments, because whether they come from the poorest background, or if they come from their mom as a psychologist and their dad's a business exec, they're going to encounter that, or the likelihood of them encountering that is more often than not. And I remember Anthony Anderson's character pushed back in regards to, you know, as much as you don't like this, our sons need to know this, because this is the world that they live in today. I consider that a pro-Black moment. It's not denying your children of the reality that they live in, or that they may be up against. Being real with them, knowing what's age appropriate for them, but being real with them so that they know how to navigate in the world. But to conclude it is to put that young man in the best position to where he's educated, he knows who he is, he's confident in who he is, he knows who's for him, he also knows what pitfalls may encounter him, and that can also come from also within his group, and to put him in a position to be successful despite the obstacles that he may encounter, because there's not a major effort for him to succeed.
Okay. Sister Fitness Mom. Okay. Sister Toya.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do you have anything further on as far as what has the quote unquote pro-Black woman today done for her son or her daughter?
Well, my answer to that question will be directly dependent upon if there's a check involved.
A check, like a money check?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
I'm being facetious, but
Okay.
because it's all about bag culture now. So what I can do is going to be directly relational to what I can get, and if I'm having children under the guise of getting a bag and getting some sort of benefit from it, then that changes my answer, right?
Mm-hmm. Get the bag.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
But
sorry about
is
that. I
that
had hit the unmute button and started choking on my. As I started to talk, I started choking.
Okay, that's okay. But go ahead, you guys.
The question was, what kind of family would this type of woman raise, right?
What? No. What has she? What has, like, based on your observation of the children coming out of this this household of this woman? Because I think a lot of have seen a lot of women like this, or the archetypes, the T-shirt wearing, protesting, but it's mainly not for all of us. It's just for a certain sector of Black people. They. And it's funny because people from the outside are like, "Wow, they really fight for you guys. Like, they don't fight for me." But go ahead. But mainly that's what the question was about.
Well, I think their daughters would probably be selfish and self-centered, because that's a very selfish and self-centered type of person. So they will raise the daughters that would be selfish and self-centered, and boys that will probably, be more willing to cater to mom, because of the fact that little boys usually want to seek approval, so they might want to try to get approval through their mother or cater to mother, or mother can do no wrong because of that, and they might actually go towards women who are more selfish and self-centered and boss types. Well, not, what I mean, not boss types like actual CEOs, but boss bees or whatever, that type of woman.
Oh, okay.
So I have a question, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I want to make sure I understood the question correctly, and hopefully I answered it correctly based on my understanding. The question that you posed was about how would a pro-Black woman raise a Black child, correct?
Actually, how it's not a would. Is what's
Okay.
going on based on your observation. What are the results of their product?
Particularly from pro-black women or just
Yeah,
black women? Okay.
pro-black women.
Okay.
Pro-black women.
Okay. So
These
we've
right
all
here.
we've all contributed to the question. If I may, and if I'm
Mhm.
overstepping my bounds, please let me know.
Mhm.
Do the sisters consider that pro-black, getting the bag and raising a self-entitled black woman?
Well, there are a lot of people who are pro-black that seem to be self-entitled at this point, like for like Amanda Seals, for example. Some of the things that she does, she says she's very pro-black, but some of the things that she does undermines other black people if it's against her, you know?
Right, which is why I asked the question that I did, because I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding it correctly and responding based on the question, not knocking anybody's contribution. I hear what they're saying, but I'm looking at the definition. So I don't consider Amanda Seals pro-black. Despite what she says, she can say she's pro-black all day long, but her actions are opposite to that. If we're gonna look at the definition, it says encouraging the growth and development of all Black people as a whole, not just women that look like me or women that are from Guinea or wherever her family is from, but all, which means if we're gonna say all means all. So
Yeah, but he had the picture of that woman standing up there with her child and who was even facing away from her child and was
right.
like, what type of pro-black woman that specific woman would raise or the family
Right.
would raise.
Yeah.
Not the actual pro-black women, but the pro-black women that's standing in front of the crowd with the t-shirt on of the dead black man with her son on the side that's not fully standing as she faces away from him. What type of family would that pro-black woman raise? And also, that's the type of pro-black woman that the media pushes in your face to try to signify that that's what pro-blackness is, when in actuality is not. Like, they push Amanda Seals in your face. They push people like that in your face because they want you to think that pro-black women are really, they want you to think that pro-black women act like that, but that's just women who are pro-black women, not pro-black women, but pro-black women, like one word. They're for black women and black women only.
But that doesn't make them pro-black then. I mean, I get what y'all are saying. I'm not trying to be contrary, but I think it's easy for people to get confused on what it really is when, to aspect, we can't control some of the images. So Amanda Seals, the person that's up now, Tamika Mallory, they're already out as identified as so-called pro-black. But that's why I say definitions and words have meaning. So if I'm looking at something and it's labeled a certain way, I have to ask myself the question, and I would challenge others to do that too, is this really what it represents? Or are they trying to sell me something that's not what it is? Because if Amanda Seals or one of the ladies that was featured in that Ford's picture was one of the BLM founders, Alicia Garza, whatever her name is. If you're strictly focusing on one group, but you say you're pro-black, that it can't be. It's an oxymoron, a moron. It's counterintuitive. It's counterproductive, because if the group is for all, then why is there a focus on one group? So despite how the media and even individuals in our group try to label them as so-called pro-black, we have to be clear about, are they really pro-black? Because to me, they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. And Asada sent me a message saying she has Wi-Fi problems right now. So, but so we just, we're putting this picture up here in spirit for her, not the lady with the fist, but the drawing. But yeah, I mean, you see how it's been. How often do you see white women hold up a fist?
You mean I can't be loud and wrong and pro-black? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, because it can't be, and it frustrates me when it frustrates me when I hear and I see certain things, and it's like, okay, maybe I'm not clear on it, so let me make sure my understanding is correct. But if you're focusing on, like, this is the second thing of Tamika Mallory, so she's considered a pro-black female by some people's standards. But you did that Cadillac commercial and there wasn't one black man in it, or the one that was allegedly in it was transgender. How is that pro-black?
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to go by the definition, regardless of folks say that, and I think that's what creates, and we talked about this offline, I think that's what creates a lot of the confusion and the frustration within our community or within our group, is these terms and these definitions keep getting redefined, and it's not enough clarity or fleshed out on what it really is. I don't care what they say. Actions always speak louder than words. So if you're really for the Black community, then why do you allow yourself to be associated with certain things? Or, you can't say you're pro-Black and you're an executive for Love and Hip Hop or all this other stuff. That has nothing to do with pro-Black. Black buffoonery or, buffoonery maybe, but it doesn't have anything to do with pro-Blackness. So I think that's, something we have to, the media's goal is to push a narrative. There's very little nowadays, particularly because it's gotten so involved and intertwined with entertainment media, that has ethics and doesn't, cross that line between pushing a narrative and telling the true story, or they have to come back and retract after the true facts get exposed. So we have to be mindful and careful of that, because that causes a lot of confusion. Maybe it's just me. I could be the only one thinking or feeling that way, but I think we have to be very careful on how we label things.
I think that confusion is deliberate, Shonda. That's the whole,
it is.
Yeah, that's the whole point of why we feel like we have to cozy up to other people's agendas in order to get ours through. Because it's like, well, maybe if we just sneak it in the box with everything else, maybe we'll get what we need too on the back end. And it's like, no, we really need to be able to stand on our own too and deliberately say, this is who we are and this is what we want. Going back to what I said, that everybody can't go.
And this is probably one of the most important questions for the pro-Black women that are listening, that are angry at this conversation, but we really mean well. But what has this particular pro-Black woman, in so many years, what have they done for themselves? Let alone the children. We got that part. What about themselves?
You're talking about the kind of woman that you got featured on the screen, right?
Yes.
I think for herself, what she's done, what women like her have done, is gained some kind of notoriety, as well as some kind of money, and some. It's like, what's the word? When you pretend to be something long enough, and people actually believe that fakeness that you're pretending to be. Like, they're pretending to be pro-Black even though they're not, and people are buying into it, and so they're getting exalted and praised,
Mm-hmm.
and their ego stroked, like they're good people, but in all actuality they're just pretending.
Okay. Shonda?
I totally agree with everything Fitness Mom just said. When you ask what they've done for themselves, particularly for a pro-Black woman,
Mm-hmm.
I think that getting in tune with who she is and what she's about is something that they would have to do for themselves if they haven't already done that. and knowing what matters most to them and what they want their legacy to be. If they're really going to be, if it's genuine, real pro-black, then that's what a pro-black woman should be about, is knowing who she is, knowing what matters most to her, and that's an individual decision, and what her imprint or what her life legacy is going to be. For the women that are so-called pro-black but aren't pro-black by definition, then that could be fame, notoriety, getting the bag, taking backdoor meetings, or this is that or whatever, for their own personal advancement. But for a woman who's genuinely pro-black, is knowing who she is and the ways that she can go about to getting us economically and professionally in a better place, as well as holistically in a better place.
Okay. And Sister Toya?
I tell you what she's done for herself. She's gone back to school to get yet another degree so that she can get a job making 6 figures, so that she can complain about all the men that aren't out there making 6 figures and knocking her door down, so that she can get a substitute dad for that son of hers. That's what she's doing for herself. And then
Wow.
then she's taking her Instagram business and flipping it into an essential business so she can get a PPP loan and put a down payment on a home as a Black woman. That's what she's doing for herself.
Wow, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, because wow. And I think that a lot of people not understanding that process, or even that thought process, even to where you're doing everything the hard way, when you could just be doing something direct and straight and less stress, less work. You good, but they rather do it the other way.
Then again, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be the contrarian on the panel.
This is y'all time.
Is that pro-black? Yes or no?
Oh no, we already know it's not.
No, it's definitely not.
Okay, so why are we
Everybody
saying
knows
it is
none
then?
of this is pro-black, but
Because
Why are we saying it is
tell
then?
them that it isn't. That's the problem. You will be hard pressed to argue with this woman and tell her that she isn't.
Right.
Could you imagine trying to tell Amanda Seales that she's not pro-black?
I have no problem if I met Amanda Seales telling her she's pro-black, because she has multiple degrees like I do too, and she graduated from an Ivy League school. So being that she went to Columbia and all this other stuff, then I would presume, because I don't like the word assume, that you have the basic concept of reading. So if we're going to use the definition, since she advocates primarily for Black women, she's not pro-black. Either we're gonna agree on that or we're not. I'm not trying to be the contrarian on the panel, and I get what all the sisters are saying, and I respect their viewpoints and their comments. But we got to be real about what is and what ain't.
Well, let's go with that though.
Shonda, I'd be happy to buy you and Amanda Seales drinks.
Oh, but Amanda Seales gotta leave. She gotta leave. She gotta not wear her Shonda's.
Oh, you already know that ain't going. That is not going. But me, I digress on that point. But go ahead.
But let's go with what Sister Shonda said. Are enough sisters calling out what's pro-black and what's not pro-black?
We're not even holding each other accountable. How can we call out what's black and not pro-black?
Oh.
But you can. I mean, that you can. That's a part of being of holding them accountable. So they don't have to receive it. They don't have to receive it. And 9 times they're not. They're gonna call you everything but, a child of God, or what your parents named you. But we have to call it what it is. And I probably sound like I'm being real emotional right now, and I probably am. But we can't be afraid to call, I'm not gonna cuss on our panel, stuff what it is. Because that just it creates this constant confusion and back and forth when it doesn't have to be. And then we don't know who's listening to this, or we don't know who's looking at us. So if we're going to accept that, this person is labeled as pro-black when it's obvious that what it is not, then we can't be too upset when things occur that we don't like. Call that shit out.
But going back to that little boy, though, do you think as he grows up, does he know the difference between what's pro-black and what's not?
As long as we say that such and such is pro-black because it's advertised as pro-black when it's not, no.
Because basically she's the one that holds the cards on the definition according to him, right?
And all he's doing is emulating her.
See? So that's why, and you notice a lot of people that hold that narrative that she's the face of pro-black, they're pretty young. I mean, you don't hear too many of the older people saying that this is pro-black.
Because
that's
it's not.
Because that's their kids.
And because it's not.
That's that woman's kids, the younger people.
So they're intentionally. Now, how much, how much do you think there are as far as intentionally trying to redefine the term? Do you think it's a low percent, high percent, even though it's larger numbers as far as it being redefined? But what about the intention?
It is 100% the white people trying to redefine black, pro-black as being pro-black woman. This is a big effort. Lots of money is going into this. Just like, if you notice now, most of the people that are black are with interracial people on TV. Pro-black is pro-black woman, and everybody that's on TV that's in a couple that's got a black person has a white person or some other race as well. So
now, this pro-black woman that we're looking at, is she a threat?
Of course.
The establishment. I'm sorry, to the establishment.
No.
So when they see her, they glad to see her because they know what she. Why would they be glad to see her? I'm over here leading the witness. Why would they be glad to see something like this?
They're glad to see her because she represents separation instead of unity. And then they're also glad to see her because they are more likely aware than she is that she doesn't really know who she is. She's just following the narrative, and she may not be trying to learn. She's just going along with what's been fed to her or told to her or taught to her, but that may not really be who she is. So no, she's not a threat. The ones that are a threat are the ones that know who they are and can recognize real versus game. And those are the ones that either get silenced, sent off, are killed.
And to piggyback on Shonda's point, even more why she's not a threat is the fact that she's representative of so many others.
Wow. I wonder, if a lot of them came out of the foster care. Because usually a parent that has been really, part of the struggle and know did their reading and things like that, they don't come out like this. It's usually someone that has been on their own and kind of self-made and got their own ideals, right? Let me ask this last question here. I think the one I had to skip the other one because you guys answered those already. But based on your observation again, can you give some figures or people who has exemplified a true black woman and why? Let's go with let's start with the top, Sister Toya.
Exemplifies a true black woman or a pro-black woman?
True pro-black woman. I'm sorry, true pro-black woman.
Uh, well, the first thing that came to my mind was the lecture you shared with us of Dr. DeGroy. Is that
Oh, Joy DeGrew, Dr. Joy DeGrew.
DeGrew? Um, and that's because there's this. Every time I hear her speak, there's just this. It's obvious that she has been steeped in blackness and in understanding our worth just as we are, and how much has to have been not only confronted but also acknowledged so that we may care.
Okay. Sister Fitness Mom, what you got for us on that?
Well, to me, that would be like Sister Assad, not Assad. I forgot her name.
Charizard?
Yes,
Charizard.
yes, I forgot her name. It just went completely out my head. Like, yes, Shahrazad Ali would be the one that defines that to me.
Okay. Can you give us a reason for those people in the chat?
So the reason for is like she was going so hard for how the black woman should realize, the flaws that we were taught, and how the America was programming us to be against the black man. And she was going hard against the people like the Amanda Seals and the people like that, because of the fact that she saw it so long ago, and she saw it was taking a hold. It was growing roots, and now it's fully, it's a big old healthy tree at this point. And she had tried to stop it before it got some roots, but now it's got fruit. It's got some t-shirts on. It's selling things. It's just doing all kind of stuff.
Sister Shonda, what you got for us?
I'm gonna give three, if I may, and it's on
You
three
can.
different aspects that we've addressed. Not in any specific order, but Iyanla Vanzant is one that comes to mind, particularly her most recent work over the last probably 2 decades or so. Because if anybody knows the history, her and Shahrazad Ali bumped heads back in the day when Shahrazad Ali's book first came out. But I think Iyanla came full circle, and seeing the ills of her ways and understanding where she was limited and what Sister Ali was trying to say back in 1989 and 90, and seeing her work as of late, how she is for the Black family as well as holding Black women accountable and Black men, but she's about unity. Another one that comes to mind is Dr. Ruth Simmons. She's the former president of Brown University, current president of Prairie View A&M. But she's a Black woman who's not only well accomplished, but who's not afraid to give back, and wants her legacy to be one of helping others to achieve their best. The last one that comes to mind to me is Debbie Allen. And one of the reasons why I picked her is the way that she's used her life work to not only show her passion for art, or the arts, but to also demonstrate that in the works that she's done both in media as well as what she's done with her dance school. So those three women for me are just a couple examples of pro-Black in various sectors: education, entertainment, and just holistic life health.
Is Debbie Allen Panhill?
No, she's not. She dropped line.
Okay, but her sister.
I'm gonna have to find you the interview she did, but her sister is, but she did.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, ladies, thank you, ladies, for coming up here. Would you like to entertain any kind of questions, or maybe somebody come up here one at a time and ask you ladies any questions based on some of your answers, or what do you think?
I'm cool with that.
Okay. Any funny business? We're gonna have to show you the door. Okay. This is our special guest here. They're regulars here. So while we were waiting for people to come up here and things like that, some of a couple of questions I had that's not on the list. Now, basically, we're hearing about this whole political thing to where when the ladies have been promised things, it's usually something that is symbolic. Do you think that today's pro black woman has fell into that category as well? Like, if she got something symbolic that makes her feel a certain way, she's satisfied.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Like, for example, I mentioned I had the question about the pro black women as far as having prioritizing things that's needed for the community or for black people as a whole. And I think a couple of you ladies weren't able to come up with anything, and we already know because we don't hear it much, right? We don't hear them ask for certain things, but for some reason, uh, they're definitely championing somebody being in a position or being in a commercial, being on a poster, being accepted somewhere. But as far as getting housing for someone, for example, or getting certain families benefits so they can take care of their children. Those kind. I'm just asking, have they fell in that category as well, just as much as the voters for your Kamalas and all that?
Oh, you mean like you got to give me something for this?
Right. Like, for example, you have you. Okay. Like, for example, let's go with Biden. And he kind of made through with his promises. Mainly, he's going to appoint people. Wink, wink. So he said he's going to put a black woman at the Supreme Court. He delivered that. Certain black people were appointed in positions. He delivered that. But as far as tangibles for black people, he hasn't even made that promise. And not too many people are even asking for it.
Well, I think that goes to in regards to the way I look at that is it is more symbolic, but he wouldn't be able to do that unless we were okay with it. And when I say we, certain powers that be are okay with it. I think one of the issues we can do better at as a group is when we're going to the table to ask for certain things or to let individuals that have access to make change know what our concerns and our demands are. We don't need to be afraid to ask for what we really want. And we shouldn't have to back down on that, because if the shoe were on the other foot, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't. So I think that there's been I agree with you, a lot of symbolic gains, but there hasn't been enough laws changed, because Kamala is one. She represents a certain symbolic representation, but outside of that, okay, we have a woman that is multi-ethnic, that's vice president. She's a HBCU graduate. She's associated with the Divine Nine. Do I see her running for president? No, she's already achieved her goal. She's, the first woman VP that was ever elected. But outside of the symbolism, what good is that going to do us? You know what I'm saying? And that's not, it may be seen as a personal knock against her, hopefully not. But if we get I'm talking too much, so let me bring it home.
No, go ahead.
If we get access to certain tables or certain conversations or certain meetings, then we need to, one, go in there with a plan, and then two, be able to negotiate that plan, hopefully in the best interest of the group collectively. And when there's pushback, because there's likely going to be pushback, be like, no, if we're going to give you this, then this is what we expect. So like when it comes to voting, there's certain parties that, feel that, we can treat African Americans any kind of way and they're going to be loyal to us and this is that or whatever, because historically they've gotten, they've been 70% of their group has 70% or more voted for us year after year for the last, 20 plus years. Okay, but what gains have we gotten on the ground to help our people? You know what I'm saying? That's how these child support laws can get changed. That's how you can affect police reform to where it's like, if we're going to have that meeting on the table at the table, then know what we're going in there for, be prepared for the pushback, but also be prepared for, okay, if you're not willing to meet us here, then I can take my money and my vote and go somewhere else. But for whatever reason, we're too afraid to do that.
Okay. Anybody else want to jump on that?
She didn't leave no meat on that bone.
Oh man. Now the part here, I wish DC, because DC said he wanted to chime in, but I guess he didn't. He's busy. He's probably in church, like shaking the tambourine. But Stacey Abrams, very powerful black woman in Atlanta or Georgia, right? Most people even say that she's a shoe-in for governor. Now, let me ask you ladies this, because I think the one that really kind of caught fire for what I'm about to ask is Cynthia McKinney. What if you were that true black, pro-black woman in these positions? Do you survive? Like if she just turned around and just really did all the things that was truly necessary for black people, not just black women. She took all that on her shoulders to say, I'm helping my people to, for all the things that they need in the natural sense. Does she survive in this, or do they destroy her?
Yeah, I think they destroy her. She doesn't survive without the cooperation of others.
Okay, anybody else?
I agree. I think that they would do their best to either limit her power, limit her reach, or if she is elected, to try to make it to where she would only be a one term.
So what it seems like, Fitness Mom, you had something on that question?
Oh no, I mean you could go ahead. I was just gonna say I agree with what they're saying, and that anybody that's really pro-black today will be limited because of the fact that that's not the narrative that they ever want to push.
So what it seems like, if anybody's in position, whether you a male or black man or black woman, and you doing the quote unquote right thing for your people, it's a wrap. Money dries up, you might get killed, whatever it is. I mean, is that what it looks like? It's like, it's feasible to sell out damn near.
Well, look at what they have tried to do and have done as far as the perception of Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that's making me hold back a little judgment on Tamika Mallory, because she did not turn on Farrakhan. They were trying. They were like, "Hey, you need to denounce him." She's like, "Nope." Other than that, everything else is like, I'm side eyeing her. Shout out to Village Arsonist. What's going on? That's
She didn't denounce him, but what did she do with Tamar Rice's mom?
Yeah, she called her out. She really. Let me talk about mom. Mom called her out for sure. I'm like, woo. I don't know. That's the stuff that I don't know. I mean, is it? I mean, it's 2022 right now, right? Is it too late to? Because right now, I mean, let's just keep it real. Like a lot of sisters are really in position to do some big things if they if they're able to go rogue, right? They're in position. My thing is, if they turn, and that's where DC comes in. I wish he was here because he has this whole thing on how, since you got a lot of sisters in position, there, and if they're able to turn the tables, and if enough men are on board, then basically things would be enough to where they have some kind of power hold on whatever they need. If it's done right. Do you think that's too late for that right now in 2022?
I don't think it's too late, but I don't think enough sisters that are in that position, or that will be in that position, understand the because there does come a little bit of power with that. But I don't think that they understand the position that they're in and how they not only can help themselves, but they can help brothers.
Can we talk about how, let's just say, just hear me out. You know how they're pushing more interracial on TV, and they're even pushing more videos of each other saying, I don't date black women or I don't date black men. All of that also feeds into the new pro-black woman, because I mean, this is all ways to keep us divided, so that they're like saying, black women, you're on your own, so you have to group up together and protect yourselves. That's what it's like, the agenda that's being pushed. You're on your own, so you must group up and protect yourself. So then you have the Amanda Seals and the people like that who are growing in power because of the fact that to young girls, they're like, it's being pushed. You're on your own, so you need to find some way to protect yourself.
Mm. Yeah, especially on social media. It's a lot of that. And on top of that, again, we got the whole thing with Kamala with her husband doing the Dougie, right? And I was a joke because his name is Doug. And what's the new judge is about to be the judge, but they're acting like they're giving her a hard time, but they're not. She's in there. It seems like in order for you to really advance in these different arenas, not only you gonna have to have a zaddy with you, but you're gonna have a zaddy with influence. It's almost like that's your price of admission. uh,
It's
so
like they broke the black family back in the 80s, and now they're trying to finish it off completely.
And that I do agree with that. I guess I don't want it to sound like I'm caping for Ketanji Brown Jackson, but I do hope she gets appointed. I look at one, I don't know either her and her husband as well as Kamala or her husband's personal lives, but I look at the relationship dynamic between Ketanji and her husband, and Kamala and her husband are a little bit different, because body language speaks a lot. To look at Kamala and her spouse, that more so seems like a marriage of opportunity and access to me, versus a marriage that's built on, we come from two different cultural backgrounds and we just happen to fall in love with each other. And that can happen not only in the US, but that can happen anywhere. With Ketanji, I see it a little bit different. And again, I don't know any of these individuals personally, but watching some of the video coverage of the confirmation, I saw her husband looking at her admirably and proudly. And then there's the photo circulating around in regards to after it was done, he kissed her on the forehead. Maybe it was all a camera ploy. Maybe it wasn't. But I look at that particular situation, and again, this is just my opinion, I can't verify this, as they happened to meet. It was a unconventional relationship at a time to where interracial dating wasn't really fully accepted, and it's still not really fully accepted now, even though that's being pushed on us. And they fell in love. Maybe I'm being an eternal romantic optimist here, but I look at that.
Virgo, go ahead.
Probably so, probably so. But I look at that a little bit different, because one thing you can't fake is you can't fake genuineness. And I don't see that marriage being as, okay, she went to Harvard, she met this guy, and he's this, powerful surgeon, and I'm just gonna connect. If I were her, I'm gonna connect myself to him for this, is that, or whatever. I see that one a little bit differently versus these women that marry these zaddies just so, they can get finance for this, so they can get access to this, or, they can allow that man to live out his being with a Black woman fetish type thing. So I look at those two relationships a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I never heard anybody kind of doubt their authenticity of their union. Well, I think most people are talking about the requirements of admission of those positions. I think that's the issue that people are having.
The
That
thing
seems to be a trend.
the thing is, they're trying to push it to people who are like 25 and below, and mostly children, teens, and young adults. So it's the agenda they're trying to push that to, and it seems to be working. Um, the whole, because I mean, they're not going to get Gen X women and all, and women who are like 30 and above to see it that way, because in that age range, they've been raised enough to know what to know things. But if you're young and you don't know anything, then this can be seen as, well, hey, they are against us. They are doing this. I mean, they didn't have like Jesse Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton and all that while they're growing up on TV doing marches and stuff like that. They don't. Instead, they have uh mixed shows and mixed this and stuff like that. So they're more willing to be interracial. And on top of the message that they also got pushing that anti-Black together, it's a sex war here, it's a sex war there. So they're more like more pliable, more amiable, and they're willing to just be like, forget the whole pro-blackness, especially with the pro-Black women that they have, pushing, that are just really for Black women. It's more the whole Black girl magic and all that. All that is a movement to empower Black women to be self-sufficient and reliant on other Black women. Like, we got you, sis. We're going to be strong together. We're going to band together. We're going to take down whatever needs to be taken down together. You know what I mean? And now times with Black people feeling so isolated and so alone, it's like, especially Black women when they're young, it's like, okay, well, I could grasp towards that. I could go towards a Amanda Seals who's saying nice things to me and making me feel good. I could go towards this or that or other instead of actually growing towards the Black family. You know what I mean?
So let's go around the world here.
Is it just me, or does what Fitness Mom just said sound like the modern day auction block?
Yeah, pretty much. But let's go around the world. Koreans are pro-Korean, right? For the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
Chinese are pro-Chinese. Indians most definitely are pro-Indian. Uh, Pakistanis, pro-Pakistanis. Samoans, pro-Samoans. I mean, we can go around the list, right? But there's always an issue about Black people being pro-Black. It's a matter of fact, it even got into the point to where it's commercialized as a mockery. I mean, where is this? I mean, based on your observation, what's the game plan for this? Is this like an ongoing thing? This fact that we have a dysfunction about being pro whatever, like the other nationalities around the world. I mean, is the only use for that is to feed other people other than us?
Well, the thing about it is, if you're pro-Black and you're pro-Black the way the real pro-Black and not the fake pro-Black, then you get slapped down for it and automatically assumed as being racist or whatever because of the fact that they don't want you to be pro-black, because of the fact that people in society want a lower class. They want a people that's going to be beneath them. And I mean, that's what we are. And if we all get together and start being pro-black, then we're going to become a force. And they don't want us to be a force. They want us to be the underclass.
Okay, so
I agree with what what Fitness Mom said. I think the push for the interracial or the intercultural is to not see the Black man and Black woman or Afro descendant Black man and Black woman unite, because they're we are the original people, and the power and the legacy that comes with that.
I mean, do we have enough people, based on your observation of what you're seeing, what's going on around here? Do we actually have enough firepower? Do we have enough people that would at least wake up and at least try to work hard to put things back in order in a specific amount of time? Or basically, should we just give up and even thinking that that's going to happen? That's the question. Who wants to take it first?
I don't want to hog so if somebody wants to go ahead, I'll wait.
I'll just say what I said already, which is yes, if we're okay with stepping over dead bodies. That's what it's going to take.
Who wants to go next on that one?
Right now, Art, and I don't think we do have enough people that are currently in the understanding and in the mindset to do that. It's hard to change. It's hard to change people's programming, and it's hard to change what people have accepted as a norm and what they aspire or want their reality to be. I've only been on this world for a little over 4 decades, but seeing where we've come from and what we have evolved to as a group, it really it does hurt, because over close to 80% of Black households right now only have one parent in them, and it's typically a Black woman. It's not a Black male. You can't sustain, or you can't change a society the way that you need to when you have those numbers like that. Not saying it can't happen, but it's damn near impossible. I don't want to sound like I'm giving up hope, but I would be curious to see how we're able to flip that from the way that it currently is to a better trajectory, because the numbers are so dismal. And then it goes to whereas there's a lot of people that don't see anything wrong with the way that things are. So if they don't see anything wrong with the way that things are, there is an agenda being pushed to destruct the Black family. There are people profiting off of the destruction of the Black family. Then how do we fix that? We have to take better control of our narrative. And I'm pretty sure all of us have had these conversations in public and in private, but just listen to some of the conversations that occur within the greater aspect of the space. It's a lot of soul therapy we're gonna have to do if we want to fix this issue, but it's gone so far to the left to where to get it back in the right or get it back in the middle, we have to change a lot of people's mindsets. And how we're going to be able to do that in the masses, I agree with Toya. Sometimes you're going to have to, put some people out. But how many minds are we going to have to change and show people that even though this may look right to you, it's so much dysfunction in that, and it's being perpetrated generation after generation after generation, to where not enough of us see the wrong in it, or the ones that do, when we try to, it's like, you know what, I tried to help, F it, I'm out, let me go be peaceable with my crew over here.
Sister Fitness Mom, is it too late?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I can only, like, someone like me can only influence a certain amount of people. I don't have a big influence. I don't have a big voice. I'm not heard. For it to change, you would need someone with a big voice. Like right now, the closest thing to someone with a big voice is Issa Rae, and she's not, pushing pro-black like that. She's just pushing different black stereotypes or different black images. And it's like, you would need someone with a bigger voice than that, or someone, you would need a big voice to actually push black family.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have that. I don't think we'll ever have that, because we don't have, the media has such a tight grip over what it will allow black people to show. And we need to, for it to work, we would need to reach the masses, or we could get together in small groups in city and try to get enough little small chapters in different cities of speaking together to try to come to a national chapter or something like that, But it would take a big effort with a lot of people to get anything to change at this point.
So on the way out, because we are past the 3 hour mark, people got to do dinner and all that kind of stuff. If you look at the image, the words scrolling down, it's the 9 areas of activity. Which one do we have a chance as far as raising our levels up and making it through this? Is are there like multiple ones, or maybe should we focus on just one? Like economics, government, war, and meaning military protection, education, law, politics, sex, meaning family. What else do we have? We have entertainment and labor. Which one would you pick?
I want to say family.
Okay. So, like, how would be able to tackle that?
Because I think that the conversations you can have in your household tend to be more realistic and honest. So if we start there, then I think the other things can be attacked from that baseline.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, and plus, you have a better chance to stay underground and build up your family team, so to speak. Okay. Anyone else want to tackle this one?
I think it's a couple of them that we can improve the function on. Economics. Blacks have been major consumers in America over the last few decades, but what circulates in our community compared to how much we consume overall is limited. And what's the reason behind that? Who knows? But I think we can improve in that area. Education, I also think we can make some strides in education as well. Because to me, education is one of those tools to where it's not everybody, being that we live in America, we have an advantage that some of our brothers and sisters in the world and in other parts of the globe don't. Even though our educational system has many, 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 many issues here, once education is taught right and properly, it's something that can never be taken away from you. It's one of those things to whereas nobody can take away from you what you know. And it opens so many doors as far as improving our economics, improving our access in politics, understanding the laws that we live up under, as well as the laws that we want to change. So those are two areas I think we can make strides in with the numbers that we currently have. It's just getting more people involved. I'm sick of hearing, well, there's not enough incentive to do X, Y, and Z. There's not enough incentive to do it, but this percentage of Black males can read. What are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna complain about it, or are we gonna get more teachers in the classroom that really want to be there, that look like us, or look like Art, because he's only 2%. So those are two areas that I think we can work on.
Okay.
Let me say something. I sell houses part-time. I say part-time because I can put a whole lot more effort into it than I do, but I don't. And of the Black people whose houses I've sold, where I work with sellers, they did not want me to use my face on the advertisement of their house. Because of the fact that they said that they don't want the buyers to associate their house with Black. That has happened 4 times.
Wow. See, that's where we at. And I think everybody should have these words on their wall somewhere in their house. Economics, government, war, education, law, and understand if you're not able to run anything in any of these areas of activity, you held subjugated by the powers that be, right? Before we go, ladies, we got the one and only Jay Shine in the building. He wanted to chop it up with you guys for a few minutes. What say you, brother Jay Shine?
What's up, Art? What's going on, bro? Hey, I can't stay long. I go to bed, man. But I wanted to ask sisters a question before I signed off. I know a lot of people talking about the Will Smith thing. I'm more concerned with a lot of responses to the Will Smith thing, and not just the women, the men too, but just talking about the women's response. There was some women windmilling, about how he was quote unquote defending Black women. And I thought that was really an odd response, from a lot of sisters. I thought it was a reckless response, my opinion. When that slap happened, there was already a viral video of 3 mothers twerking at a high school. And of course, you guys know about all the other stuff that's been going on with the sisters over the last couple of years. That's been viral. So I guess my question to you sisters is, what do you think the state of Black womanhood is right now, from your point of view? I already know what the brothers think, but I just want to know how y'all feel as Black women, not specifically your motherhood, your womanhood, but Black womanhood in general. What do y'all think about it?
I think it's an utter shambles. I think we are witnessing the effects of a generation of mothers who couldn't be bothered to show their daughters what true womanhood looks like. We're seeing an outcry for that sort of leadership and guidance. We're seeing that try to be fulfilled in ways that can never replace it. So I think we're in shambles because of those things. And unfortunately, those of us like myself who had grandparents to show them some of the traditional ways and what it means to be a lady, that's all we have is the memories of those women.
Okay.
I agree with what Sister Toya said. I don't know if Jay Sean remembers this, but couple of years ago, the first time we were on a panel together on Charles's channel, I recall stating that I do not like, and I still stick to that statement, I do not like the way Black females are represented in mass media today.
Right.
And that's not just a new conclusion that I came to. I felt that way for a number of years. I think that we as Black women have to do a better job of controlling our narrative, because the images that are out there don't represent us in a positive light. There's more negative images of us than it is positive. And even within our respective communities, there's not a good representation of us locally as well as nationally. So when I hear the term of Black girls rock, or Black girls this, or get the bag sis,
Black girl magic,
whatever, Black girl magic and all of that foolishness, I can't subscribe to that, knowing that how can we celebrate, how can we celebrate that when, we are perceived by the greater majority as being hypersexualists, as being aggressive, as being angry Black women, as being what's the word I'm looking for? Offensive and emasculating towards our men, and non-supportive. And that's a problem. And it needs to be fixed. So kind of goes back to a point or something I was trying to flesh out earlier was, we can, even though certain things are promoted as pro-Black, we can't be afraid to call out. Sometimes you may be standing by yourself, but these negative images, what's to say that someone won't look at us and say, well, that's you too. Like I've had people come up to me and it was like, well, I thought you were some way. And then when I saw you, you were totally opposite to that. And that's supposed to be a compliment. That's actually offensive because right. You don't know me from a can of paint, but because of what you've seen by XXYZ, you automatically assume I'm going to be a certain way because of this, that, or whatever. So I think we as Black women have to do better in owning our narrative. We have to be better about what we support. And there's always going to be an audience for the foolery, but we have to decide to where it's like, this may be entertainment, but to some people, this is not entertainment. This is a realistic image of what's going on, because there are younger women who are looking at us. There are women our age that are looking at us and they see no problem with, or they aspire to do those attributes that aren't womanly, that aren't virtuous, because that's what they see. That's a problem, because we can't say that we're independent and then at the same time we want protection. That dog doesn't hunt. So first of all, we got to call out the ones that don't paint us in the best way, and then take better control of our narrative.
Yeah.
Black women's image is in shambles, and to be honest with you, they're getting paid and incentivized to keep it that way. So I don't know if it will ever get back to a good spot, because they're getting paid to be angry Black women. They're getting paid to be sexy things.
I was just about to say that. Go ahead, say that.
Huh?
I was just about to say that. Go ahead, say that, girl.
They're getting paid. Young Black women are getting paid to keep portraying the images that the media wants them to portray.
Right.
And they're getting paid to do it, but they're getting paid to do it because there's an audience for it. So we may not support it on this, this panel or in this chat room, but as long as there's an audience for it, what's the incentive for them to change?
But that's why there's an audience, because they're getting paid. Like everybody's being reimbursed through this stuff. Even like when I'm a young girl and I see that, it's Black China's out here doing all this wild stuff, and I start my Instagram page and I shake my booty, and next thing you know, I got an OnlyFans. I got, it's so many ways that they're getting paid to keep perpetrating or keep this thing going forward, to keep the image in the trash.
Hey, Fitness Mom, I wanted to share something with you. I'm over in Germany, and when I got here in 2018, me and my daughter's over here with me, and when we got here, immediately we didn't have nowhere to live. You know, you gotta go find somewhere to live. So we were living in hotels, and it's ironic with the Will Smith thing happening, bringing that whole thing full circle, and black women, right? Over here, the only images of black people you were getting is from three places: through hip hop music, right, drill music, VH1, which was doing the Love and Hip Hop stuff. So you got the sisters acting up in the crazy weaves and all that stuff. That was a representation of black womanhood, fighting and arguing, and they doing it in another language, which was weird. And the third thing you would see over here was Will Smith movies. That was it. That was Black America that was being projected to a whole nother country that I'm in. And it was and that's what I think a lot of brothers and sisters miss about what's going on in America. I think we fall into a bubble. When you get outside the country and you see what's being projected of you, it really cuts deep.
Like, let's say you're a 14-year-old black girl, right? And your mother, she works 2 jobs, so she's barely home. And you see these girls on the Instagram making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month and all this other stuff. So after a while, you start to want to be that because you want to make that money so that your mother doesn't work so hard or your family can eat more food and so on and so forth. So, I mean, that's what I mean when I say they get incentives for this. Yeah. Because all these young girls are getting paid lots of money to do all this stuff. And if you're 12, 13, 14, 15, and your mother's working all these jobs and she's sitting there complaining and she can't do much because she's have to take care of her household by herself, it's like, this is what you look up to.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. I totally get that. I get that they are getting incentivized, but it goes back to there's always been an audience for that, whether they're getting paid back. We can go back to the beginning of time. There's always been the loose women and the women that were considered virtuous. But being that there's an incentive now because women are getting paid, well, they're getting paid because one, somebody is giving attention to it. So even though there's always been an audience for it, I don't think, and I think all of us have lived long enough to where that audience has always been there, but it hasn't been as prominent years ago as it is now within the last 10 to 20 years. And the question is why is that? Because somebody is looking at that that's not getting paid and finds either entertainment value in it or aspires to it.
That's what it does, because that's why it's changed. Because the 13-year-old girls, they have mothers that are not in the house to actually counteract that. So that's what they see. That's what they are getting pushed and fed. You know, the real estate agents that are half naked, the this that is half naked, the that is half naked. So after a while, if that's what you grow up on, then that's what you find entertainment. Like you're 11, 12 years old and you're seeing all these women half naked all over the place. If you grow up on that, that's what you find entertaining. Because when I was young, we didn't have half naked women all over the place. But now everywhere you look, I mean, commercials, like it's everywhere, literally. So while you're young and you're being molded in your teen years and younger, especially if you don't have a parent that's around that can actively work against that, it's like that's what you're going to aspire to be. And if there's like millions of young 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, they're saying, 20-year-olds with Lamborghinis, 22-year-olds with Coach bags and all this other stuff, and they're like, I could get that, and they're 12. So nobody sit there like, no, this isn't something that that isn't going to happen because of this, that, and other. Instead, they're like black girl magic. Get on there. You could be a social media influencer. You could be a YouTuber. You could be all this other stuff and this, that, and other. And their parents aren't. It's just not enough to counteract what they're being bombarded with. And that's why, as an audience, like if I give a woman, a 23-year-old, $3 million, I say, here's $3 million. I want you to make a whole bunch of videos. And then if I keep feeding it to 12-year-olds, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's great. That's great. And as they grow older, they're going to create this audience. The audience is going to grow because we're feeding them this stuff. And this 25-year-old, she ain't got any reason to stop because we're just feeding her millions of dollars.
That's true. I see your point now.
Okay, so I guess this sort of like concludes our Sunday chalk talk with the ladies, and man, I think we're gonna tackle some more subjects. I'm still leaning towards the sisters with degrees in relationships. I want to get into that one, but hey, y'all might choose something else. But any last words?
I think the sisters with degrees relationship would be a good topic. I think you should have like, some of the other women up that are, degreed, of course. But like having up what's her name? Like Shirley and them and all that stuff. And the women that are in this space that are with degrees that are more vocal,
Yeah, how do you make that work? Because it's such a dirty word in these dating topics and relationship topics. So we want to find out how are women actually making this work? Um, just like the other nationalities, they got degrees, but they going right along doing motherly stuff, wifey stuff. So I'm just trying to figure out, how you make this work. But
That will be an interesting conversation.
yeah, that's
I got
very
one last question for the sisters, if you don't mind, Art.
Go ahead, brother.
One last question, real quick, sisters. So, not to put any of y'all on the spot, my sister Toya, Shonda, um, are you sisters having conversations with other Black women? Are y'all having confrontations, if you will, or conversations, or confrontations with sisters in real life about what's going on? Or y'all just kind of just going about your business?
I got cussed out by some 25-year-olds, and that was the last time I tried to correct somebody.
I am having conversations, but one thing I won't do is walk in a room with you that I didn't sign up to. So a lot of times I come at certain conversations with an air of objectivity. But if I feel like you have to start coming for my neck just from the fact of us having a conversation, I'm not going to go in that room with you. But I'm going to always be here to pick up the conversation when you're ready to discuss it.
All right. So I guess my follow-up question would be, I'm sorry,
right.
Sean, my follow-up question, and Sean, you can answer both. My follow-up question would be, because I know Art's about to shut down. I knew that was kind of going to be the answer. That's a smart answer from a sensible person who wants to, you can't force people, to be where you are. And what's the point of fighting, right? I guess my follow-up question is, do you sisters see it as how hard do you guys see it to even address other women? What's going on between Black women right now?
Shonda, would you like to answer?
So I'm gonna address his latest question, and I'm gonna go back to his previous question. It can be a challenge, and it is a challenge because one, it comes with the aspect of who are you to tell me how I should be and what I should or should not be doing from a certain aspect of, or from a certain group of Black women. And then also a lot of Black women have adapted this entitlement, queen, goddess foolishness to whereas I am this and you can't tell me anything, or if you try to tell me anything, I'm not going to listen to it. Jezebel spirit, or aspect of Jezebel spirit, in my opinion. I said this earlier this week, on I believe on Art Stream, and I've said it in the past. Do I always confront? No, I'll be completely honest. I don't always confront. But in regards to conversations, I have these conversations very frequently with women that I know, as well as I can be out. Someone can hear us having a conversation and they may chime in, or they may not, or they may kind of scuff at, you think you're better than us because of this is that, or whatever. But if I feel led, I have said something. And one of the reasons I have said something, even though I don't always do, is that one, um, image is important to me. And I know I don't like generalizations. So I don't like being lumped into a group or a negative aspect when I know I don't operate or maneuver that way in the world. Not to make it sound like I'm better than anyone else, but that's the reason why I would say something. As to the general society, when they see us, they're not going to take the time, or most people are not going to take the time out to separate. Well, this young lady or this woman is different. They're just going to say, oh, that's a Black, fill in the blank, problematic, hood, baby mama, this is that, or whatever. And many Black women are far, far from that. Or if it's a group that I'm a part of, you're not representing us the way that I know we were taught to be. So I'm going to correct that, because you wearing X, Y, and Z is a representation of something that I'm affiliated with, and I don't like this being misrepresented. So I think that's exactly, I don't like the double talk. But I don't always say something, but when I feel led, I do. I do mentor, and I have no problem having those conversations with those young ladies that are in the mentor group. That, or if I see something, like with the young lady who's younger than me, and that's within my reach. Do I walk up in someone's house and be like, your daughter shouldn't be dressed like this, or you shouldn't do this, that, or whatever? No, I'm not gonna do that. But if pressed and if led to, I will say something. But just it's not always well received, and everybody's not going to want to make that change.
Okay. Any other last words?
I'm not in a position to mentor young women, and there's no way women in their 20s are going to listen to me and what I have to say. So that to me, that's like a question is like, they won't listen to me. I can tell a 20-something-year-old whatever I want to tell them, but they're just going to look at me like I'm crazy and be like, why are you talking to me, old lady?
Jesus Christ. Damn.
Okay. So I appreciate the ladies coming up. I appreciate the Leo brother coming up here to.
Leo's up.
Leo's always up.
Yeah, Leo's in the house. And shout out to the Virgo and the Capricorn.
Guess we're in the lion's den, huh?
Oh yeah, always. Wherever I'm at, there's lions all in the either in the bushes or out in the open. We're everywhere.
I need to be afraid because lions shouldn't concern themselves with the thoughts of sheep.
Yeah, we ain't hungry. We fed.
Leos are good people. They're straightforward, so I can respect that.
Yeah, gets me in trouble a lot.
Yeah, well, me too as a Virgo. I was like, a lot of people can't deal with what I have to say, but I can't help it at times, so it's gonna come out at some point.
Consider me a goat in lion's clothing.
All right, thanks for letting me come up, man. I'll let you close out the show. Thanks, ladies. You have a good night, man. Yeah, beautiful ladies, man. I know we got good sisters out here. I'm glad we got some representation. And I just wish y'all the best wherever y'all are, and stay strong. I'm out.
Thanks, Brother Jay Sean. Peace to you and your family. And
please subscribe to Fit This Mom and Toya the Tutor and Asada channel. That's their spelling on the thumbnail. And please subscribe. And we'll come up with more things. So this is it right here, y'all. So anyhow, you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. and be good. We're out in a